Jeans did not like say to do it or not to do it.
Right.
She didn't say anything and all that.
She was in a position when her chat is that big and there's that many people giving, when they're chanting things like that and they're saying call CPS, call CPS, call CPS, call CPS, that's what's known as a call to action. They're telling someone to do it, and someone did. Multiple people did. A lot of people did. When she sees that going on in her chat and she doesn't disavow it or tell her chat not to, and she could have, there's multiple ways she could have handled that would have showed that she's not okay with it. But she did nothing. She was in a position where doing nothing was you agreeing with it. Your inaction spoke volumes. She was in that kind of position. She could have told everybody to stop. We're not doing that. That's not the right answer. She could have verbally announced it. If she didn't want to verbally announce it, she could have sent a DM to her mods and say, ban the phrase call CPS from chat so it stops showing up. Issue warnings in the chat itself. There's multiple things that she could have done. Doing absolutely fucking nothing is her just basically smiling and waiting for the bad thing to happen. She knew it was going to happen. It's pretty obvious from anyone who watched that what was happening and what was about to happen. The crowd was telling you what they were going to do, and if you didn't tell the crowd not to, then they took that as you giving them the green light. That is what happened. That is why she gets the blame for it. This way. Do you understand that's a dismissal of reality? Because I'm pointing at things that factually happened. I can show you where they happened. You haven't been able to show me anything at all for this entire thing.
That is perfectly fair and honest. And
so when someone shows you reality and you say, well, that's your opinion, you're just dismissing reality. That doesn't make it not valid. Like, would you? Are flat earthers right?
No.
Because that's what they do. You show them a globe, you show them pictures from space, you show them proof that the Earth is fucking round, and they go, well, it's like your opinion, man. I think it's this way. Just because you think something doesn't make it fucking true. Welcome aboard.
Hey.
I think I can hear you here. Give me a quick sound check. Let me hear you count to 10.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Sounds good. All right, we can hear you. Okay, so I believe you were trying to debunk some points here. What you got?
So I have been basically just for just like a couple hours been into watching videos and all that and stuff like that. And in my point of view, my personal point of view, they could have done it better, more in private and all that. That I don't know if they did like try to work out in private, but they could have kept it in private, not, publicize it and then accuse and then say some discussing, and like the way that they have been acting recently with especially Ethan with the stuff that he said on call and all that is a little bit overboard in my personal opinion. I understand the pain.
Oh, okay, covering a lot of points. So we're going to slow it down just a little bit. So the problem with them handling it in private is that this all took place in public. It was because that there was a public call to action that CPS got called on him to begin with. CPS is looking at those public streams and those public stuff. So a public statement is kind of required there, especially from a content creator whose entire friendship with him has been public. It makes no sense why this is the one thing that would be private.
I could get your point and all that, but so they're friends online, right? They were friends online?
Yeah, their online friendship was very public. Like they built their careers together.
But I don't think that they ever visited, right? Or anything like that much.
What do you mean
like
visited?
Their household, each other and stuff like that.
Yes, I did. Most of the videos that iDubbbz and Ethan did together were physically in person with iDubbbz visiting Ethan's home. It was usually iDubbbz that went to Ethan. He is definitely intimately familiar with how Ethan runs his home. There's no question
Yes.
about that.
Yes, but I'm not really sure like how often or even if like how many times personally because I don't know. We don't know unless they tell us how many times.
Well, we know for
Um
sure the times that he was in a video with him, which was
yeah,
numerous and took place over the course of years. It's safe to assume that he probably visited on a semi regular basis, that he didn't just go there for content. It's safe to assume
yeah,
that,
but
but you're right. We don't know the exact number. The exact number doesn't really matter because you have enough just online to establish a history of both their friendship and Ian visiting his home. That's
yeah,
enough to show to CPS right there.
yes. But I don't think that if he decided to, say what he actually thought, like, or what they wanted him to say and all that, like, oh yeah, they're not like that and all that, they would want to know how he would know that, like, in detail, if he's been there recently, if he like or anything like that. And like
So
my
what he's essentially doing when he asks him to make a public statement that he knows that CPS is going to see, what he's essentially doing is he's acting as a character witness. He's a witness
yeah,
to how Ethan runs his home, both before and after. So it would be safe to assume, like if you were a CPS worker and you're investigating this, and you've got a
mm,
record of someone who's friends with him before he became rich and famous, before he could afford housekeepers and nannies and things like that, and you've got someone who's been friends with him for that long saying that he kept a clean home and that he kept a safe environment for children long before they had children and before they could afford help to maintain the home, then it would be even safer to assume that once he has that help, that yeah, his house is going to be clean. That would
yeah.
absolutely go a long way. There's no CPS worker who would read that any differently.
Yeah, that's a good point, but in that same point, what
Let
if
me let me let
the
me let me let me stop you real quick, just so we can add some context to who you are, because I think people who watch my stream enough are gonna know who I am. But just out of curiosity, do you have any children?
no, but I have nieces and nephews, and I have had
Are
family
they
members.
are they in your custody? Are you legally responsible for their well being?
No, I personally
Okay.
in my personally do not, but I also do not have like the right to, you know, think that somebody is and all that. But I have in my personal past and all that have been either a part of somebody calling CPS on my sister or my family member, and how much it affects and how much that it matters and scares the parents and all that. So
Okay, great,
I
great.
definitely,
All right, because I do have children, and
yeah,
great. So you know the fallout and what it's like to have CPS called and how that affects a family and individuals.
yes,
Now, let's
yes,
say for a moment that your sister's best friend
hmm,
could act as a character witness for your sister. She had CPS called on her, and her best friend, all she'd have to do is write an open letter saying that the
hmm,
claims that are being made aren't true. I don't believe she could even do it in a way that gives her the benefit of the doubt and lets her still sit on the line. So she could say something like, I've seen no evidence of the things being claimed. I've known her for years and I've personally seen no evidence of it. That's not saying they don't do it. That's just saying, hey, if they do, I haven't seen it. You could just say that.
yeah,
And if
hmm,
your sister's best friend refused to do that, and your sister got triggered by that and said that they're not friends anymore, would that make sense to you?
I mean, it makes sense, but it also depends on if both parties viewed themselves as best friends, if they were really
I'm
close,
talking about
and
your sister and her best friend. So in this case,
yeah,
yes, they both view themselves as best friends. And then this is your sister's best friend. She's known for years. And when she went to that friend and she's like, can you just be a character witness for me and just tell them the truth. Just tell them I don't have shit all over the walls.
yeah.
And
I
then her best
mean,
friend's like, no. and then she decides they're not going to be friends in it anymore, and she gets upset at her. That would make sense to you, right? That would be justified.
Yeah, yeah, it should look like that, yeah. But you could also look at it as the friend being like, not just saying no like meanly and all that, but being like, no, I really don't want to be involved in talking to somebody that I don't know. I mean, I understand that it would help and all that, but like, I don't think that it's any of my business putting my input in something that is, in my opinion, not my business to put in.
Yeah, but that's the problem is that he didn't stay quiet. There were plenty of public tweets about the situation after they ghosted him.
Like,
That's that's
I have,
that's
I've
that's
been,
that's part of the issue is that they said they wanted to stay out of it, but then they wouldn't shut up about it. And then when he calls them out on it and being like, "Hey, I thought you guys were sitting out of this. Can you stop talking about this, please?" And then they have kind of a public fight, and then Ethan believes that he agrees with the people who called CPS, and then iDubbbz proves him right. I'm making a content cop agreeing with the people who called CPS.
I mean,
That's the
you
proper
can
chain of
definitely,
events here. And no,
you
that's
can
not an open to interpretation thing. That is what happened. Those are the facts. That is the chain of
that,
events we all watched unfold.
yes, yes, definitely that is how that has happened, but there is more contents with that that should be included in that,
Such
a
as,
lot more. That at first iDubbbz and all that was saying quiet and all that at first, but then they
okay,
decided to make little comments and all that and jokes at first, and then they
yeah,
went into their podcast and brought it up and stated that they would like to stay out of it because, like, no news is good news. Saying nothing is better than saying something sometimes. And that
this
they
is
would
not
be
one of those times. Saying something would have helped with your friend's investigation into having his children taken away. Saying nothing
that's
is the opposite. That doesn't help him. That's you not helping your
but
friend.
um I also want to bring up a point that H3 on his own podcast before he ever this like said otherwise after what he said like didn't he say that he was special agent that he thought it was and all that. He said that it was a guarantee that his kids were got a disease, a parasite or a disease and all that.
He never used the word guarantee. That didn't
No, he
happen.
didn't. No, he basically said that they have it
He
is what
said he
they said.
thinks he thinks they haven't. It
I
was all
watched the
speculation.
video.
I just watched that last night and just made a video on it on my channel. We watched that live on stream. There was no
Okay.
definitive statement. He didn't say for sure that they had it. He said they have it at first, but if you watch the full clip and not wherever they, because a lot of people cut it after he says they have it. If you watch the full clip, which we did here, he jokes about everybody having it, including everybody there. He jokes about how ridiculously hard it is to get and how rare it is. Then says, "I don't think they have it, but we're not sure." That's how that
Yeah.
clap. That is how that clip ends.
Okay, because the one that I've watched and I thought I watched the whole H3 stream, in my opinion, I thought so. I think I
I get
did.
it. It's
Uh,
four or five
um,
hours of a live stream. It's long, but if you watch that clip that everyone cuts after he says they have it, if you watch the rest of it, he said then she had it, and then Gila has it, and then I got diarrhea and I think I got it, and Dan, you might have it too. And then they go, well how do you even get that? I don't want to get that. He's like, oh, you have to eat my poop, and then they all have a good laugh because that's how ridiculously hard it is to get. You have to ingest poop, and they go, so you guys ate poop? He's like, no, I don't think they have it. I mean, we're not sure. It's possible, but I doubt it. And that's how the clip
yeah,
ends.
and that's um, I am glad that I actually, you know, decided not to just, say it, but in of my knowledge that I've watched so far is that I was under the impression that he actually like said that that's what they have and all that. They
Yes,
also
that's the impression you were supposed to be left with, because that's the malicious way that the content is being spread. It is being
yeah,
spread to push that narrative.
yes, but you could also say that on the other side too, because there
What what
isn't
has what has Ethan clipped maliciously to spread a narrative on?
the fact that people were not non-stopped saying call CPS on these people over and over again non-stop on there, but he
That that
admitted and said that the top chat was the live chat and the other one was just the same
A
thing but
screenshot
clip.
of that chat.
Yeah,
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 that
basically.
much
Yeah,
is obvious. I can't believe that had to be explained. I took
yeah,
one look
no.
at that video and instantly knew what that was.
But
They
when they,
they
but
played the or so the original live chat is left in the video,
mm,
and then they show a screenshot of a section of that live chat. Do you know why they did that?
so they would show, be able to, so we would be able to see
Yes,
all of the,
so
yeah.
you could read it, because Denham's chat at the time was moving too fast. So instead of pausing
Hmm.
the video every 2 seconds to show you each individual message, they just gave you a clip of a section of the chat to say, "Hey, this is what was going on in her chat." Now you can go back and watch that, and you can pause it, which we've done here on stream, every 2 seconds to try to read all the chat messages. There is a section of the chat that lines up with what's on screen. That is true. And then the rest of the chat pretty much echoes what was on screen. The point he made came across loud and clear. There was nothing
Yes, that,
malicious there.
um, yes, but also the person that actually clipped it for them, actually did not omit the time stamp
Well,
of
it's
each
great that you
message.
bring it's great that you bring that up. Which he's not responsible for who clipped it. I think it may have been someone who was viewing Denham's stream at the time that clipped it, and I'm sure that he would have used more context to that had she not
Mm,
deleted that VOD. But
She
either
she
way,
didn't delete it, Twitch did, but yeah.
I mean, that doesn't affect the VOD on YouTube from all her clip channels that she removed it from. But anyway, um, she
Yeah.
confirmed those chat messages were real, and that what
Mm,
was said in the chat on that screen was real in a video of her own, where she does show the timestamps. She tells you exactly how many messages there are. This one was on line number 1,500, blah, 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 and this one was on. So she shows those messages, how long apart they were. I get she was trying to debunk him, but she kind of accidentally admitted that everything in that video was accurate. That came out of her own
yes.
mouth in her own video. So
Yeah.
again, nothing malicious there.
But also, let me ask you a question. So the point of showing us that and telling us that basically that they were like saying that like nonstop and all that, right? Is because they assume because of that, because of everyone saying that and all that,
Mm-hmm.
somebody decided
To
because
do it,
that,
yes.
yes, because Jeans did not like
See,
say to do it or not to do it.
right.
She didn't like, say
She
anything and
she
all
was
that.
she was in a position when her chat is that
Mhm,
big and there's that many people giving when they're chanting things like that and they're saying call CPS, call CPS, call CPS, call CPS. That's what's known as a call to action. They're
mhm,
telling someone to do it. And someone did. Multiple people did. A lot of people did. When she
mhm,
sees that going on in her chat and she doesn't disavow it or tell her chat not to, and she could have, there's multiple ways she could have handled that that would have showed that
yeah,
she's not okay with it. But she did
mhm,
nothing. She was in a position where doing nothing was you agreeing with it. Your inaction spoke volumes. She was in
mhm,
that kind of position. She could have told everybody to stop. We're not doing that. That's not the right answer. She could have verbally announced it. If she didn't want to verbally announce it, she could have sent a DM to her mods and say, ban the phrase call CPS from chat so it stops showing up. Issue warnings in the chat itself. There's multiple things that she could have done. Doing absolutely fucking nothing is her just basically smiling and waiting for the bad thing to happen. She knew it was going to happen. it's pretty obvious from anyone who watched that what was happening and what was
Hmm.
about to happen. The crowd was
Hmm.
telling you what they were going to do. And if you didn't tell the crowd not to, then they took that as you giving them the green light. That is what happened. That is
Yeah.
why she gets the blame for it.
Yeah. That's totally fair, and honestly, a good point. But I also have a question and a scenario for you. Okay.
Okay.
So if I'm not trying to be rude or anything like that, but you have
Oh, I
kids,
can.
right?
Yeah, I can handle rude. You can speak freely here.
Okay. Okay. You have kids, right? And
I do.
does when you tell your kids not to do something, do they always listen to you?
No, not always. No, no child always listens to their parents. Of course not.
And if a creator does the same thing by saying, "Do not do this. I don't approve of it," and all that, isn't there a chance that one of the viewers, even if she said that, put her input, would have said it? So what would be the
Sure,
point of even
sure.
saying
Oh,
anything?
sure. Okay, so the point between those two things, since you want to bring my children into it, which is fine. I am a parent, and
I didn't.
and it's no, no, no. It's fine. I'm not upset by it. It is totally relevant to the conversation. You're free to do that. It's a fine example. Now, I'm glad you brought it up. So the difference there, if I were a parent, which I am, and my kids were chanting that they were going to do something dangerous, and I didn't tell them no, then I would be charged with negligence. I have committed a crime. I was a bad parent. I did not do my job. If I tell them no and make an attempt to stop them and I am unsuccessful, no crime has been committed on my part. An
Mhm.
accident has happened. In one case, a crime is committed. In the other case, an accident happened. Do you see the
Mhm.
difference?
Yes.
So you're right. Denham's probably couldn't stop her chat. If they had their mind set on doing it, then they could. But she can say, I tried. I tried to stop them. She would not be at fault. The reason she's at fault is because she didn't try to stop them.
That's perfectly fair. Uh, it just seems to me that the whole drama and all that, in every way and shape or form, could and should have been taken care of in a better way if I mean Denham had all the right to be a
I am by no means saying that any of Ethan's quote unquote crash outs after it and any of his responses have been perfect.
yeah.
He has been obviously emotional in many of his takes. He has said
Yeah.
some foul shit. He is not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. What I am
Yeah.
saying is that absolutely nothing that you can
Mm,
say on the internet justifies someone weaponizing social services to take your children away. At
yeah,
that point,
no.
a line was crossed, and nothing you can
Yeah.
say afterward retroactively makes that okay either.
Yeah, that's perfectly fair. But if I am remembering correctly, what Denham was doing when she was, talking to that person or showing that video that they were describing how H3 treat household is and all that, and how he thinks that it's mistreatment and all
Let
that,
me let
right?
me let me ask you a question. Do
Yes.
you believe anything bad Empanada said? Do you believe a single one of those claims? Do you believe that
Do
his
I
house
bel
is covered in dog shit?
I believe that some people, if they have no motivation, if they are extremely depressed and all that,
Mm-hmm.
not could just ignore stuff like that, like being able to just,
So you're
pick up
saying,
and all that.
so you're saying that
But
he was depressed, so he didn't clean his house. Gila was
no, he could.
depressed, so they didn't clean their house, and that their
They
housekeepers were also depressed, and they didn't
no, no, no.
force them to do it either.
No, what I'm saying is that what I was saying in general is that people, get
I'm,
depressed
I'm,
and
I'm,
miss.
I'm not I'm not asking you a generalized question. I'm asking you a very specific question. Do you believe Ethan and Gila's house is covered in dog shit?
In my opinion,
Them specifically.
I would assume not because of the multiple people that are there that are active and that could clean it and all that.
Even even
Um,
even
it,
without the multiple people, I'm just going to just outline for anyone watching, in case there's anyone believing this nonsense, how absolutely fucking batshit crazy, insane that claim is.
yeah.
Even if he
I
has
mean,
zero housekeepers, he lives in a $3 million mansion. Do you have any idea how
yeah,
big a $3 million mansion is?
I could assume.
Okay, cool. Do you know how big his dog is?
I do not.
It's a lap dog, probably roughly the size of my cat. This is not a big dog. Do you have
Yeah,
any idea how much shit that dog would have to shit to be a danger to anyone in that home? It is physically
yes,
impossible. He would explode. He could
yeah,
explode and still not
yeah,
cover a single room in that house.
yeah.
This idea that a dog that weighs roughly 28, 30 pounds maybe can
Mm,
produce enough fucking shit to cover entire rooms that a baby is allowed to crawl around in when there's
uh-huh.
housekeepers and everything on top. It's nonsense. It's comically bad. Anyone that
I mean,
believes that is forcing themselves to believe that. Those aren't people looking for abuse. Those are people looking for an excuse.
that is totally fair and honest. I do not think that it could be, but I can't like be sure that it
No, no, you
isn't.
can't be sure. The
Anyone,
physics
yeah,
alone make that impossible.
yeah.
That dog
But
can't physically produce enough shit to be a danger to anyone in a house that size. So
yes,
it's just not possible.
that's
That is
yeah.
ridiculous.
I think to be honest, in my personal opinion, I don't see why in the first place. Like, I'm not saying that either one was right and all, but I don't see the reason or like the purpose of actually streaming that information, like that what that person said.
I'll agree
Especially,
with you that it's a mistake to. That's probably the consequence of doing a live stream. I live stream every
mhm,
night. I get it.
yeah,
Sometimes you share things you shouldn't, and I'll agree that's
mhm.
probably not something he should have shared. But he made a joke out of it, and that's the reason he was sharing it. And if you watch that
No,
full
not
clip, it's clear he was joking about it. But yeah, he probably shouldn't have shared all of that, and this wouldn't have happened. However, that doesn't make it his fault just because he
no,
shared it.
I'm not trying to talk about H3. I was talking about the guy that accused him of it.
Oh, that guy is
I didn't
100% malicious. Who? Bad Empanada?
Yeah, that I don't see the purpose of Gene actually like
Oh,
entertaining
oh,
it,
oh.
to be honest.
The purpose of Bad Empanada doing that was to get CPS called on him, and it worked.
Yeah,
It is
yeah,
100% that dude is malicious, and he does not try to hide it. He
yeah.
is a fucking psychopath.
That is perfectly fair. And noon. I mean, perfectly fair to say that and all that. I did hear what he said and all that a couple times and all that, but
Do you hear the
um,
video he sent to him afterward?
no.
The serial killer style video where he put music over it and everything?
Mm-mm.
Where he was
Or
basically going, "There's more coming, Ethan." The video he sent specifically to taunt him.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, no,
that's in my last video too. We pulled that up and played it. This dude
yeah,
is an outright fucking psychopath.
yeah,
This
and
is intentional. He's super villain level. I'm going to fuck with you.
if he is doing that, and there is evidence of that,
There it is.
um,
I
H
showed it on stream.
H3 should try to get legal
He
action
can't. He can't. That's why
or
they hide behind Bad Empanada. The country that he's in has no laws against this, and they have no extradition law, so you can't force him to come to America either. There's literally nothing you can do to him. That's why all the content creators react to his things instead of saying it themselves. They're using him as a shield.
Okay. That's perfectly.
That is very
That
much
is perfectly.
intentional.
Okay. I just, to be honest, I somehow got into the got into watching it and all that because of just I think wanting to check up on things and all that and going
And
on Twitter
I
and
got
all
no
that.
problem answering your questions. I am way deeper down this rabbit hole than I thought I'd get. Just like you, I
Yeah.
thought it'd be a fun drama to cover because I cover drama on my stream. I stopped watching H3 when he started doing podcasts because I wasn't a fan of his podcast. I was a fan of both iDubbbz and H3 about 10 years ago back in the day, 2016 era.
Me too. Me too.
And I stopped watching iDubbbz when he did his apology tour because I was like, oh, well, he fucking pushed out. He's joined BreadTube, and I was right. And I stopped watching H3 because I watched his podcast, and I'm just not a big podcast guy. I'll occasionally, I think I saw maybe 4 episodes of his podcast in total, and that wasn't because of H3. That was because of the guest he had on, and I wanted to watch that guest. I watched his podcast the same way I watched Joe Rogan. I don't care about Joe Rogan, but when he has Neil deGrasse Tyson on, well, I do care about Neil deGrasse Tyson. This should be a fun little interview. I watch for the person being interviewed. When he stopped interviewing people and he went into the Frenemies arc, and then he went into Leftovers, I could not give 2 fucks. I fell off that train
Same.
hard. I
Same.
could not give 2 shits about iDubbbz documentaries, about iDubbbz bad unboxings, about him reviewing Cheez-Its or whatever the fuck he started doing after he quit doing Content Cop. I fell off and I went to watch other content. And I didn't keep up with either of them, excuse me. I didn't keep up with either of them for, I don't know, a good couple years. And then I saw that two OG creators I thought were best friends were having public crash outs on each other. And it got my attention. Specifically, the part that got my attention was when CPS got called. That's insane to me. I have children. That scares the shit out of me that someone can just make up something online and all of a sudden my kids are at risk.
Yeah.
That's a pretty fucking scary thought. And I know that every single person who defends it, without fail, will enter and say they don't have children. No one with children finds that thought comforting or agrees with it. Absolutely fucking no one.
Yes, but with that situation, if there actually is a concern about like a child,
If it's a
and all that,
legitimate concern, fine. But I'm
Yeah,
not talking
yeah, yeah.
about legitimate concerns. I'm talking about, because I chose to make some videos on the internet, someone can make up some bullshit about me that's not true, that's so wildly outlandishly true, it should be laughed off as a joke. And then people will use that as an excuse to try to have my kids taken away. That's a scary thought. I make a lot of jokes on my stream. A lot of offhanded jokes, a lot of foul jokes. I was a fan of 2016 era YouTube. Part of my brain's still there.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make those jokes. It does scare me a little bit to think that I could make a joke that offends some crazy motherfucker in another country like Bad Empanada, and then he makes a video that the people that don't like me can react to and smile as they know their chat will eat it up and then call CPS on me. That's a pretty fucking scary thought.
I can agree on that.
So that's what got my attention and made me start watching. And then it just it is done. I thought I would cover 1 or 2 videos on this drama and it would kind of die off and wouldn't be a big deal. It has escalated and escalated and escalated. And there's fault on both sides for the escalation. But there's way more fault. Don't think that because I said there's fault on both sides that they're equal. They are absolutely not. Yeah. There is way more fault on the side of Hassan, Denims, iDubbbz. Way more fault. And it's provably so. Like, it's so obviously so. The inclusion of Bad Empanada. I haven't even brought up the fact that they sent fucking human skulls to his house. Human fucking remains. That's serial killer behavior, dude. That's literally the plot to 7. What's in the box? What? This is an episode of Dexter. Like, what are we even talking about here? How can
Yeah.
anyone look at, I just ignore all of the online shit. How can anyone look at the real world actions of that side and think that's okay? Make that
Yeah.
make sense to me, please. Cuz I
I
can't.
mean, if you look at it in a way, um they're not agreeing or anything. They're not
Again,
saying anything.
silence,
Yeah.
especially in the form of denims, silence is being complacent. In this
Yeah.
case, silence is agreeing with it. And as far as the fans go, there absolutely are fans. Snark agrees with it openly. I have seen
Mm.
conspiracy theories that try to dismiss the skulls and say that Ethan sent them to himself for content.
Yeah.
Like they've
I
gone full
mean,
fucking conspiracy brained. How?
yeah.
Just fucking how?
I mean, it's a crazy situation, and that person that you I can't really say his name, but
Who
Empanada
bad
is
empanada? Yeah, yeah, bad
yeah,
Emma Panda. That's what Keemstar
yeah.
calls him. That's a funny clip.
He seems dangerous and wanting to hurt them and all that. And
Yeah,
if he
very.
didn't start, to be honest, if he didn't say anything and all that, if he actually had some actual concerns, he should have done it himself, called them and all that. But he just was speculating and lying and all that. And there are things that Denim and the people that watched it and said stuff about it could have done and all that,
Should
but
have
in the
done.
same
The correct
should
phrasing is
have
should
done,
have done. Yes.
should have done, and all that. But you can also look at it as that they were they were what is that word? It's basically in a porter's press and all that. They were going over the and all that because like if there's news or anything like that, or somebody says like, oh yeah, this person's doing, like a famous person or something like that,
Yeah,
usually somebody
that's all
makes.
fine for internet drama, but
Yeah.
there's I unless I've missed something, and you can feel free to correct me if you know something I don't. I don't think that there is a single thing that Ethan has done that justifies either CPS being called to his house or human skulls being sent there. I don't think anything he's done warrants real world action. Nothing.
That is perfectly fair, and I agree too. But you could
So here's
also.
my thing. How can you agree with all of those statements and still be against Ethan, who's very clearly the victim then? You can't agree with those statements and not also agree that he's been victimized then.
I mean, he is a victim in this situation, yes. But you could also look at
Not
the
a
people
victim,
that,
he is the victim.
well, in that same point, you could all there are people that could and are looking at Denim as a victim
How?
and even as a victim. The
How
fact that
is Denham's a victim?
she was she was put in this situation
By
and all
whom?
that because of because she decided to
Right,
cover a story.
because she decided. She made a personal
Yes.
choice. She was not put to be a victim. Somebody has to do something to you. Consequences of a choice
Yes.
you made don't make you a victim.
Yes, but if you make that choice, right,
Then
it
you by
doesn't cause
definition are
some.
not a victim.
Yes, but if you do that and somebody decides to take that out, like shoot you, hit you and all that, then you are the victim.
And I will agree with you 100%. If anyone fucks with Denims in real life, shoots her or attacks her or does anything to her physically in real life, we're on the same page. You're absolutely right. She would be a victim. But that has not happened. So how is she a victim?
She has been accused. I mean, I'm not 100% agreeing that it isn't true that she did basically cause that situation. I'm not saying that, but She has in people's eyes have been over and over again been um presented as the same way that he was presented in a way that they
Okay,
don't agree with personally.
I'm gonna set a couple quick ground rules just so that we don't get too tied up in the weeds and stuff here. I don't want any opinionated statements. This
That's fine.
in people's eyes, this she could buy some people's I want facts. I want things that happened. I
Okay,
don't
the
need
fact
someone's
is that
interpretation of it. I need to know how she is factually a victim. Like what happened to her that wasn't a cause of her own action. How is she a victim?
okay, well, she has been getting comments in her stream
Okay.
of things that she shouldn't get and all that because of this situation. She has been
Because of what?
um
Let's be specific.
because of what because of what she covered and what
Right,
she
because
didn't
of
do.
what she did or didn't do,
Yes.
because of her actions. See, you can't say that she's a victim and say that she's getting comments because of her, blah, blah. The minute you say that statement, you're saying she did something and
Yes.
she's getting a response to something she did. That doesn't make you a victim. That's not how being
Yeah.
a victim works. So, can you give me an example of something that's happened to her that isn't a direct result of something she did?
That she did exactly. Let me give me a second to actually think about that. Um
The fact that you have to
well
think this hard about it should be telling you something.
well that is perfectly reasonable and understanding that, yeah, and true. But like in that same point, like not like even if like she that people think that she deserves it and that she started it, so she should be able to handle it. Some people are not capable of like handling situations like that.
Right.
She shouldn't have put
The
herself out like that in the
right.
first
She
place
shouldn't
if
have.
she couldn't. But
Exactly.
she also has a right to
Don't oh
to
she has a right to do it. I'm not arguing with her right to do
no,
it.
no, no,
I'm arguing whether or
no,
not she's a victim.
no. She has the right to not be like having to deal with harassment and all that. And basically, of what I have seen and heard from HCHP, he condones people being harassed and all that if
How
they
so?
don't agree with. He um he showed pictures of a man that told him to go to hell on Instagram or whatever it
That's fair.
was.
It's absolutely fair.
And yeah,
That's not harassment. That's absolutely fair.
that he
All
showed
that do yes, it's absolutely fair that he showed something available to the public. Sure. That guy
and
could have
that
avoided that situation by making his Instagram private. Done. Ethan would
that's
have nothing to show.
that's perfectly honest. Yeah,
So if your
but
Instagram is
it
open to the
doesn't.
public, Instagram itself will show you to more people than Ethan did. So is
Yeah, that's
Instagram
fine.
harassing him now? Because he has a public profile and it shares him with people and makes suggestions to other people in their feed and shows his content to the world randomly?
No,
That's not harassment, man. It's just not.
I'm not saying it's harassment. What I'm saying is that
Well, you said that you were
he,
using that as an example of Ethan condoning harassment, which
yeah,
that's not what
because
that is. But that's not what
he
that
made it
is.
he made it more available for people to see.
You don't know
And
for sure that he showed that profile to more people than Instagram itself did. You can't say that.
I mean, he live streamed it
Sure,
with a lot of people.
sure. At most, Ethan probably showed that to 100,000 people max. You have any idea how many people Instagram probably shows that profile to on a monthly basis, weekly basis, daily basis? Do you have those numbers? It's
No,
probably
but
more
you
than
don't
that.
have anything. You probably don't have them either.
You're right, and the numbers don't matter. The point
Yeah,
is, it's not harassment if it's publicly available. That's the point I'm making. You can't
yeah.
you can't attack someone publicly. And remember, it's not harassment if it's a result of your actions. You attacked someone publicly. He attacked Ethan by talking shit.
Yeah.
So a response to that action, a public response to a public attack, is not harassment. Now, if you could come to me and show me where Ethan told his audience to go do something to him, then you'd have an argument. You absolutely would. Ethan was given a personal attack, and he issued a personal response. That attack was public, and his personal response was also public. I'm seeing a one-for-one comparison here. I'm not seeing harassment.
You definitely know that the comment that that the person made wasn't in like the DMs or anything like that, right?
It was a comment. Yes, it was a public-facing comment.
Okay. So in that fact of that situation, what you're saying is that I can go into um I can go into your DMs and say that you should go to hell for just in general and all that
If you did that
and
in
all
my
that.
DMs, I would just block you and ignore the DM. If you did
Not
it
DMs, but
publicly,
in your
if you
comment,
did it
in your comments.
if you did it publicly, where a bunch of people could
Yeah.
see it, that's
Yeah.
a risk you took by making that comment. If you attack a big creator publicly, know the rules of engagement. You
Wait,
are poking a
can
hornet's nest. You might get stung.
can I ask? Can you give me the definition of attack? Exactly how that's an attack by saying you should go to hell? Because isn't that their opinion, not like that
Well,
they
that
think that
depends
you
on who
should
you
go to?
ask. If you ask a religious person, telling someone to go to hell is a pretty definitive statement. It's not an opinion. You're
Yeah,
physically telling them to go to the worst place in existence. That's pretty fucking
that's
definitive.
yeah. Okay, yeah, fair.
Yeah, like that's not really open for interpretation. His meaning's pretty goddamn clear.
Yeah, that's honest and all that. I
No
just
one gets told to go to hell and thinks, "What do you mean by that?" That sentence has literally never followed that phrase.
yeah.
So let's stop the mental gymnastics and stop pretending like water ain't wet. We all see what happened here.
Okay. I mean, you have to be under a little bit more of understanding because I did jump on the other side, not
I am
the side that
understanding, and
you
I
like.
am absolutely open to being proven wrong. But you haven't been
Yeah.
able to point to anything that can do that yet.
No, I haven't because like in
What you have
in
done
a
is
way,
I make a statement and I say what happens, and your responses are most often you can interpret it that way. One could
because
see it this way. Do you understand that's a dismissal of reality? Because I'm pointing at things that factually happened. I can show you where they happened. You haven't been able to
yes,
show me anything at all
that
for this
is
entire thing.
that is perfectly fair and honest and a
So
good
when
point
someone
and all that.
shows you reality
Mhm.
and you say, well, that's your opinion, you're just dismissing reality. That
Well,
doesn't make it not valid. Like, would you are flat earthers right?
no, not that
Because
I
that's
know
what
of.
they do. You show them a globe, you show them pictures from space, you show them proof that the earth is fucking round, and they go, well, it's like your opinion, man. I think it's this way. Just because you think something doesn't make it fucking true.
Ah, that is true. Yeah. It's
Now, if they
just
had
that
a way to prove the earth was flat, if they had some evidence and they could show that, that'd be great, but they don't. And
yeah.
every single person I found who's on their side can't show me anything. They'll make claims like Ethan supports harassment. Okay, well, show me that. Ethan made claims and then he showed them. The reason I'm on Ethan's side is because Ethan made claims and then he showed them. iDubbbz made
So
claims and showed nothing.
so may I ask, um, one simple question.
Sure.
Harassment, right?
Hmm.
What would you say is harassment? Like, what
Are
defies?
you, are you, those are, so that has two different definitions depending on whether or not you're talking about online or you're talking about in person.
I'm talking that somebody in a voice
Because there's
call or
actions,
video.
because there's actions you can do online that if you did to someone in person would be harassment, but online, I mean, everything's anonymous, blah, blah, blah. There's certain like leeway you give to online stuff. Like if
So,
anyone, all right, I'm playing Call of Duty right now. If literally
mhm,
any of these motherfuckers talk to me in real life the way they talk in this fucking lobby, it would be harassment. But in a game of Call of Duty, given the setting, it's not real. Like none
yeah,
of them are actually going to come fuck my mom. Like okay, it's just it's different.
yeah.
So it
But
depends on what you're
I'm
talking about, which is why I
I'm
consider it harassment the minute it transitions from the internet into real life. And that has
yeah,
only happened on one side.
yeah. So what I'm more referring to is like VODs and all that, like video, like somebody actually saying awful and mean things and all that, like
I'm
awful and
probably going to,
distressing.
so I'll tell you right now, I'm probably going to have a more lax definition of this than most, as I've been
Hmm.
on the internet probably longer than most of the people you've seen cover this, and I probably have thicker skin than most of the people you know that cover this. So I tend to be more lenient, and I tend to err on the side of freedom of speech is what they did illegal. And I kind of draw the line at illegality. Now, if someone's sending you, for instance, a bunch of angry Discord messages, a bunch of DMs, and you ignored all of the tools available to you to stop that, then
Hmm.
that's on you, in my opinion.
That's true.
Every one of
Yeah,
these platforms has a block button. I can
yeah,
quickly press it, and that person disappears from my reality. I never see them again. Now, if it's hundreds
uh,
upon hundreds of people, then you can issue statements like Ethan's done. That's kind of his only option when he's on the internet. What are you going to do? Sue hundreds upon hundreds of people? What are you going to do? Call the law on hundreds upon hundreds of anonymous internet users? No.
yeah,
All you can do is say things in your defense and leave the internet to decide and hope that enough people, all you can do is try to rally enough support on your end to outweigh the other end.
yeah,
Now, if that side stops, his responses will probably stop. I know if I were in his position, they would. I'd stop responding to it if I stopped getting massive amounts of people in my DMs. But
yeah,
even getting massive amounts of people, if I woke up tomorrow and my video went viral and I had thousands upon thousands of hate messages in my DMs and it was overwhelming, it's only overwhelming to the point that I'm online. All I got to do
yeah,
is log off. And I can
yeah,
go spend time with my family. I can ignore it for the most part. That's also an option, is to just ignore it. Not ignoring it doesn't make you a bad guy. Doesn't mean you did anything wrong. Ignoring it and addressing it are both valid options given the circumstances. There
yeah,
comes a point where you just can't ignore it anymore, especially when
yeah,
that point has escalated to being at your front doorstep in real life
yeah,
multiple times in the form of a
yeah,
CPS agent and then again in the form of human goddamn skulls.
yeah. Um,
So when it comes to online shit, I would only consider, so what I'd consider online harassment are things that have the ability to affect my livelihood. So for instance, if they were to, so online harassment for the H3 podcast, because it happens live, would
mhm,
be them attacking his service provider with a DDoS attack, shutting down his live stream. Well,
yeah,
that affects his income. If he can't stream, he can't make money. If he
yeah,
can't do his job, he can't make money. Okay, that now you've reached the point of online harassment, hacking his accounts, leaking his personal shit that he didn't share publicly. Those kinds of things are harassment online. But
yeah,
someone telling you to go to hell, someone telling you to KYS, someone in your DMs being a dick, I don't consider to be harassment. That's just shit talk. People
Yeah.
online are always going to talk shit, including Ethan.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I just wanted to make sure like know that definition of
Yeah, yeah,
how
no, I probably
you
should have defined things and showed you where I was coming from beforehand. It's a good question to ask.
yeah, it's just that in this situation it's like hard to actually, confidently. I mean,
I
there
mean,
are people like you and all that that
in
are
this
confident.
situation, I'm finding it real hard
Mhm.
to not see the guy who's had his real life and income fucked with as not the victim when the other people have done nothing but gain from it, if we're being honest.
That is
Frogan's viewership has been higher since Content Cop than it's ever been. This is the most money she's ever made in her career. The
yeah,
longer she plays victim and pretends like this shit bothers her, because she can log off too. She absolutely can. But the longer she drags this on, the more views she gets. The more views she gets, the more money she gets. They've been benefiting while he's been actively hurt from it. So I find it hard to believe that the guy who was actively hurt from it isn't the victim. I can't honestly wrap my head around how anyone can see it any other way, which is what my question was. Help me see it another way. And no one has been able to.
well, I could I could understand what you mean and all. In the way of how Venom and everyone, I mean not Venom, Denim has been acting and all that and been per, you know present presenting themselves and all that. They could just not entertain it and keep
Right.
adding to it. Yes,
But they're
yes,
going to because they make money from it.
yes,
It is in Ethan's. This is why I find it hard to find him anything but the victim. It is in Ethan's best interest to try to move on and get past this and try to deal with the CPS stuff in private and just go about his content. Which, to its credit, he has tried doing. His
hmm
last podcast was on the Met Gala. It was boring as shit. I couldn't get through it. But yeah, but my point is he didn't bring up the like he's not talking about drama. He's trying to get past it. But every time he tries to do something else, these people continue to talk about it. Why? Because the more Denim talks about it, the more viewership she gets. The more Hassan talks about it, the more he gets clipped, the more attention he gets. The more attention that they get, the more money they get. And they don't have any other responsibilities. They don't have children waiting for them. They can sit at that computer all day and talk about this and continue to rake in the bucks. They don't have any other
yeah,
responsibilities. This is their life. This is all they have. Ethan has a
yeah,
lot of other shit on his plate. This shouldn't be his focus. I'll agree with that, which is why I find it hard to find him anything other than the victim when people who have nothing better to do than spend all of their free time making money off his misery continue to do
yeah,
so.
yeah. I mean, in my point of view, how I'm looking at it, and it was presented to me at the time, um, is that H3 or even was actually in a way making it like even I mean I get it, emotions and all that sometimes take over more than actually thinking and being rational and all that
Yeah,
and
you
all that.
will
So
get
he's
no argument from me on the opinion that H3 is an absolute asshole. I'll agree with that.
hmm
He is an asshole.
hmm
I'm not even sure if he's the kind of guy I'd hang out with in real life. He,
yeah, me
I mean, but none of that changes anything. None of that justifies anything that's been done to him. It's not illegal to be an asshole. Assholes are allowed to exist. And just because they
yes
exist doesn't mean that you're allowed to call CPS on them, send human skulls to their house. It doesn't mean that you're allowed to endlessly target them.
yeah
They have to do something to earn it first. And in my opinion, he's done absolutely nothing to warrant the level of harassment that he's got. If it had all stayed
that's
online, I'd probably do one video on it and I'd move on and it'd be good for a laugh. But you took this shit into the real world. And at that point, you crossed the line.
Mhm.
Nothing he did warranted real world action.
That's yeah, that's right.
And that's the big difference. That's my line in the sand.
Yeah,
So let me ask you this, since it doesn't look like I'm gonna get any like anything to
I
justify
can't.
real
I
world
I
action.
can't.
I know you can't because it
Yeah,
doesn't exist.
yeah.
But you said that you recently got into this. Now that you've talked to somebody
Hmm.
to give you an alternate perspective, what's your take on it now?
That the situation is a lot more uh, in my eyes, since I've learned a little bit more and all that, is a lot worse than I thought it was. Um, but in a way that everyone that has been a part of it isn't 100% justified in. I mean, besides that, I mean, like Ethan is, and H3 is like kind of, and his wife and his family is justified for how they're acting and all that. But it also, in that same point, is in Denham's right and belief that shouldn't be harassed, or that the things that H3 has been on record of saying that she did and all that, blaming her and all that, in her opinion, and the way that she presented it by not saying anything and all that,
Okay.
is that she um isn't isn't responsible for what people do and all that, and that she did not say anything of the sort of go do it anything like that.
Right.
She didn't say anything, but she didn't,
She didn't say not to.
yeah,
She
and
didn't
it doesn't make
disavow it.
it, yeah, it doesn't make it right that she didn't and all that, but that she has a right to not be slandered by saying that she did
I'll
it and
agree.
all that.
Both of them, both sides. So let me ask you this: both sides. I'll agree with you. Both sides have the right to not be slandered all over the internet, and to not be brigaded by angry fans and be shit talked. Both of them have the right to not have that happen. Like that shouldn't be
Mhm.
happening on either side. Let me ask you this: which side has the ability to stop it cold in its tracks right now?
HAH,
How so?
uh, he could either, well, because he actually has the lawyer, could actually file um a stop order and all that, that
You can't
they
stop
stop.
order the entire internet. I'm talking about all the
Not,
fans and stuff. How do you stop that?
how do you stop that? The
Yep.
same way that
How
you
do you
just
stop that?
said, log off.
Yeah, yeah. But which side has the ability to stop the fans from doing that so that it stops and then he doesn't, neither side has to log off?
Um,
Which side has the ability to call the ceasefire?
both of them, to be honest, in my opinion.
How could H3 call the
It,
ceasefire?
they could get into a call and debate what happened and all that and
It,
explain
yeah, that
each other's
happened.
side.
Yeah, that happened. It didn't work out. He
With
he
who?
he debated Hassan. Didn't work out.
That's not the person that was involved in the situation, to be honest. It was Denham. And I don't think.
Hassan is absolutely involved.
How is he involved
What do you
exactly?
mean how? What,
Was he the one that streamed the information that Denham
the Bad
that
Empanada
that
guy? Yes, Hassan was the first one to stream Bad Empanada
but why is it that um why is Denham being attacked
because
and blamed
because
for it?
Denham's was the one streaming when the chat called for call CPS.
But
But
why
but
didn't it?
but she never would have. That entire group of you understand that entire group of people
Hmm.
would never be reacting to a Bad Empanada video ever if Hassan didn't do it first. If Hassan didn't give the green light.
Yes, but if I'm sure, So you told me
So
that
to dismiss Hassan's influence over that group is disingenuous.
no, I'm not. No, what I'm trying to figure out is that you're saying that he streamed it, right?
Yes, he was the first one to stream in that group. For the longest time, there's even clips of Hassan saying it that he will never watch Bad Empanada. He hates this guy. He called him crazy. He called him psychotic. He said, I will never watch any of his videos on my stream until Bad Empanada started making videos on Ethan. And then Hassan started watching them first. They continued to
Gotcha.
escalate. It's just, you
Yeah,
understand, it's just luck of the draw that Denims happened to be the one watching when it happened, that she
yeah,
happened to be the one to watch the Bad Empanada video about the house full of shit. That could have easily been Hassan or Denims or Sean the Black or Mike from PA. They were all taking turns watching this guy's content, and because they were doing that, he kept pumping it out.
yeah. But
And Hassan started that ball rolling.
yeah. So shouldn't he be the one that could have started this whole situation because he's the one that watched it and streamed about
From
it?
a legal standpoint, no. I mean, he definitely has a hand in it, but if you're looking at the individual action of CPS being called, which is what you have to look at when you're being, investigated by CPS, you have to look at it from a legal standpoint. You can't go but so far back in a series of events and still point blame. Otherwise,
Yeah,
every single murder trial in history will end with, well, if she hadn't given birth to him, it wouldn't have happened. Yeah, so we can't go but so far back. So we go
yeah.
to the action itself, and Denham's action did lead to the call.
That is perfectly fair, but wouldn't you say that um what's his name? The first one that you're saying that caused this whole situation because he did
Hassan?
it first, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
Hassan. If
Oh,
he streamed it,
he's
he would have a chat, right? That would
if
see the
his ch-
same thing and heard the same thing.
he didn't stream that same video. They were taking turns watching different empanada videos. So Hassan watches a video, laughs at it, it makes fun of Ethan, blah blah blah, and Empanada sees that he's getting all this new attention. He's been reacted to by the biggest goddamn political streamer on Twitch. Arguably one of the biggest goddamn streamers in the world. So with all this new attention that he got, he started making more videos. And every time he made a new video, someone from that group would react to it. They took turns. It was just luck of the draw that the CPS one happened to be on Denim Stream. It could have easily been on any of the others.
Yeah. So I could I see now. Yeah. I just I mean in you could probably see my point of view that if somebody like is the original point or zero or the number one, like the first one and all that, to do something and all that, and it goes wrong, usually they are liable for of what happened if it's really bad or whatever, usually,
I mean,
right?
it depends on the action and what happened.
Yeah,
Like,
I
you
mean
wouldn't say that, like, that you wouldn't say that the person who opened the door to the Capitol building on January 6th is responsible for January 6th. You wouldn't say that the first person to step through the door is responsible for everybody else. Like, that's not how that works.
yeah, that's fair.
So
Another
in
another point that I want to,
but
huh?
in this case, the point I was trying to make, and since we kind of got off track there, was the power to stop it is coming
Mhm,
from the side that benefits from it. If
that's
they
fair.
stop, their audience will stop.
Yeah,
Everything that H3 is doing is reactionary.
yeah,
If you quit giving him things to react to, he'll shut up. His fans will shut up, and it stops. They
yeah,
financially benefit from the beef, so they keep
yeah.
perpetuating it.
That's that's how the world is so far now. So yeah,
Yes, which is
it is what
why,
it is.
yes, that is how the world works. And
Mm,
that
it's
is,
not fair, but it's happening and it happens more and more.
but it does have a clear aggressor and a clear victim.
Mhm, yeah,
Just like, yeah, sometimes stores get robbed. You can't look at a store owner and go, hey, that's how the world works, man. Sometimes stores get robbed. No, there's still a clear wrong that happened and a clear victim.
Yeah, but you
Like
also have
that's a dismissal. That's not a reason.
yeah,
That means nothing.
but sometimes, in like what you just said, the example you just said, right, that a store owner just got robbed, right?
Hmm.
It doesn't change the fact that the person that robbed the situation does have probably a reason and a want and has um in their opinion had no other choice to do that or wanted to do it.
None of that matters. Absolutely none of that matters. You cannot go
So
before a judge and say, my kids were hungry, man. I had to steal and get away with the crime. No judge is going to, that's not how that works.
but it doesn't make it that it doesn't matter, right?
It doesn't matter. His personal problems don't justify hurting another person. They literally don't matter. Once he's on trial for robbing that store, all his personal problems that led to his decision to break the law don't fucking matter. What matters
That's
is you made the decision to break the law. Any judge in the world will tell you that.
yeah. But what if it's not exactly breaking what if it's just drama, not breaking the law? Like it was not right, but like the person that is either aggressing it or anything like that has a reason to do it and all that.
I'm trying to give you a moral ground to come from. I'm not
Yeah,
saying that this is a legal thing. What I'm
yeah.
trying to do is give you a moral ground to come from. And that is you can't
Morally, yeah, yeah,
you
it's
you
not right
I mean,
for what they did
I
and all
would
that.
argue that false calls to CPS should be illegal. That should
Yeah,
be against the law. A false
it
call to the
is.
police is against the law. Okay, well then if it is, which I haven't looked it up, I'll take your word on it. If it is, then one side broke the law.
Yeah,
So
and
anything that
but
happened before that, just like in the case with the store robber, doesn't matter. Whatever justification you had for breaking the law doesn't make breaking the law okay.
yes, but when you do not have a definite answer of who is the one that broke the law, yeah, the
There is a
person
definite
couldn't.
answer for which side it came from.
Yes, yes, yes. But what I'm trying to make the
Now,
point of is
we're not in
that they
court
are.
trying to convict an individual, but if you're looking at two sides here and which side can stop it, it's the side that is definitely responsible for the real world harassment.
Yes, I was trying to make a point and that it went away. Um, what I was trying to say is that that the what were we just talking about? I'm sorry.
We were
Uh,
talking about denims, and you were doing this thing where you were trying to like look at denims in a bubble, like she's an individual,
no,
but it's
I mean like it. I do not. I absolutely don't agree what has happened at all, and can understand the emotional and all of the information, and maybe he does have a case in like a law and law. But what I was trying to say of the situation in the first place is that in the case that like what we were talking about like a second ago is that
yeah,
he that the side that is that could stop it and all that has the means to stop it on that. But the thing is that there isn't evidence or they don't know for sure who the only person that the people that know who did it besides the fact that it was so-called anonymous and all that. But my sister did the same thing, and the thing is that you could go back and they can give you the time, the
yeah,
date
yeah.
and all that of
I'm
that.
not looking for the individual. There's no
Yeah, no.
argument like as far as who the individual person was goes. I don't know. That's anonymous. Nobody can know. But what we can know for sure about that individual is which side they're on and where they came from. And they came
Yes, and
from
but I'm
Hassan's
trying to make
community.
a point. what I'm trying to make the
from that
point
side.
of is that the side that that it came from and all that, the people that actually like went through it and all that are in a way capable of being a liable and all that. So I was kind of trying for a minute to get it out that I actually do
So the
agree
so
of that.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you agree, and that's why I was getting back to. So the purpose of this phone call was to
Enlighten me of
make
yeah,
it make sense how someone
yeah.
could still be on iDubbbz side or that side, Hassan, iDubbbz, Denims, that whole crowd. Because I believe what you said is I don't agree with what you say or how you present your views, but I want to listen to a different side. So that implies you were on the other side. And then
Um
you said I think what iDubbbz did should and could have been done in a better way, but the same point H3 could have done. So you seem to be doing a lot of, which is what I get from a lot of people on the iDubbbz side, is a lot of whataboutism, a lot of I'll admit my side did wrong, but I can't do it without also saying something bad about the other side.
no, I was just trying to more of look at it. I mean, I do have bias and all that. I mean, everyone does. I was trying to be neutral in the
I
situation.
actually didn't have any bias. I was fans of them both. As I mentioned before, I was fans of them both for years, and then I didn't keep up with them for years. I'm just coming back to find that two people I was a fan of are fighting, and now I'm being forced to pick a side between two people I'm a fan of. I'm not biased. I wasn't biased towards either or going into this. I liked them both.
Yeah.
But the more I've seen, the more I've leaned towards Ethan's side for all the reasons
Yeah.
I've listed. So it is
Yeah.
possible to go in unbiased. What I can't understand is how anyone can go in unbiased and come out on that side. That's the part
Well,
I was trying to understand.
I was I was looking at it as that how I viewed it is uh, the way that I viewed it and the way that it was presented to me is that when I watched the iDubbbz video, right?
Right.
There was videos and all that, and when I watched
Right. And
H3's video,
it was presented to you in the iDubbbz content cop and the deputy video. Those were absolutely presented to you a certain way.
yeah, and to be honest, that in a way that it was presented to me um when I watched the stream of H3 saying a lot of things about the choice that to stay silent and not be involved with and put and say something and all that like to me wasn't really called for. I mean, I understand that
If
he's
he had
emotional.
if iDubbbz had stayed out of it the way he said he was, then there probably wouldn't have been a problem. Ethan and Hila
Yeah,
probably just would have let it go because they ghosted Ethan and Hila, and that was the last of their conversations with Ethan and Hila. But
yeah.
that's not what happened. What happened was Ethan unfollowed Frogan, which apparently triggered her. And
Mhm.
then Frogan and that side reached out to iDubbbz and Anissa. And at that point, he's not staying out of it. Just like he's not staying out of it if he talks to H3, he's also not staying out of it if he talks to the other side.
Yeah. And
And if he
but
had not responded to Frogan and if he had not talked to that other side, then I'd agree with you. He stayed out of it, and this problem, a lot of this stuff probably wouldn't have even happened. There would be no iDub side to be on. He'd be out of it. It would just be Hassan, Frogan, and the usual bunch against H3, like apparently it's been for a long time.
yeah,
But he
that I've
picked a
seen, yeah.
side. But he picked a side. He didn't stay
I
out of it.
mean, he didn't really have a choice since he did
Sure, he
stay
did.
silent. And
He could have
no, not
continued to
really.
stay silent. How? How is continuing to stay silent and stay out of it the thing you said you wanted to do? How is that not an option?
Well, the fact that he has every right to either talk
Oh, he's
to
got the right to talk to either side. That's not what I asked, though. I didn't ask what his rights were. I asked why that wasn't an option. If he really wanted to stay out of it, why couldn't he have? You said he didn't have a choice. So what stopped him from staying silent? Why couldn't he?
I mean, it depends on what you mean by him staying silent. I mean, him making
I'm
a comment.
him not talking to that side or the H3 side. Him staying out of it. Staying out of it's pretty clear.
Yeah.
You're not going to comment on it. You're not going to talk to them, but I'm also not going to comment on your side or talk to you. I'm staying out of it. I think everybody knows what that means.
Well, yeah.
It's a pretty common phrase.
But
so you said he didn't
it,
have a choice. What stopped him from having the choice to stay silent? Why didn't he have a choice? That's what I asked you.
Okay. Well, in that I can think of is that the comments, the little here and there comments that he made
Right,
that
that
I
he
know
made.
of was not exactly like fully like I mean he was talking to him and all that that I know of, but it wasn't like it was like him agreeing or anything like that in that moment. He was just talking to them and all that. And yeah, um, as a friend of H3 and H3, I mean, to be honest, the way
What
that iDub
what
said it
what stopped iDubbbz from remaining silent? You said he didn't have a choice. Why would he not have that choice? What stops him from doing that?
is because he felt like he didn't have to
So
put
his
himself.
personal feelings is what stopped him.
Yes,
Okay, that's a him
yes.
problem. That's not a thing that actually stopped him. That's just him choosing to pick a side again. You made it sound like he didn't have a choice but to go to that side. And then your reason
He
for he didn't have a choice
well,
was his feelings. Well, okay, that's still him choosing to go to that side. That's not a reason.
well, he was kind of damned if he did and did damned if he
How?
didn't
How
kind of
would he be
situation.
damned if he stayed quiet?
That because if he said silent, I mean, they H3HB said that he didn't
They
have
weren't
the
happy with him
spine.
for they what they've said was they wouldn't have been happy if he stayed silent, but if he had continued to stay silent and stay out of it, they would have respected his choice to stay out of it and they'd have moved on. They'd have left him out of it. It wouldn't have been this friendship ending thing it's turned into.
Yeah, that, I
They
mean, the way
of
that
course they wouldn't be happy that he was silent, but that wouldn't be like a friendship ender. It would just be fine. You want to stay out of it, stay out of it. I'll talk to you when it's over. And then you go about your day and you have your battle and then you report back to him when you're done. And there's a salvageable friendship there. There's definitely not now.
yeah, but like the way that I watched it and all that is that um
Have you ever been in the middle of
iDubbbz
two of your friends fighting?
yes.
Did you ever stay out of it?
If
Because you
they're
didn't want to
fighting
get
like
no, no, no.
fist to fist
Arguing.
or
They're having an
arguing and all,
ongoing argument that's lasting for weeks. And you're caught in the middle of this he said, she said argument that's going back and forth between the two of your friends. And each one of them is trying to pull you to their side. And you don't want to pick a side between two of your friends, so you stay out of it. Has that ever happened to you?
yes,
And what happened when you stayed out of it?
that I stayed out of it and all
Yeah.
that.
How did it end?
Both of my friends were okay with it that they seemed
Right.
of the situation and all that, but later it turned out that they were upset with me, had a problem with me, and stopped talking to me and did not talk to me and said awful things behind my back because of it
Okay. Well,
publicly. And
that sounds. I don't know the full details of the situation, but I mean, you still friends with them?
that they talked behind my back and said mean things and all that. And after a while, I tried to, amend things and all that, but
Once the dust settled, once all said and done, right now, today, are you friends with those two people?
no, they blocked me.
Okay. Well,
I'm friends with one though, but yeah.
there's a lot of people who it went the opposite way. True, I'll admit it's a gamble, but the reason you stay out of it is because you don't want to lose two friends. So you stay
Yeah.
out of it. And at that point, when it's all said and done, if your friends aren't your friends anymore, then that's a choice that they made. That's not on you. You didn't pick a
Mhm.
side. I've
Yeah.
had it go both ways. I've been in the middle of multiple friends fighting in my long time on this earth. Some of them, they got over it, they worked it out, and we're still friends to this day. Some of them, only one side I'm still friends with, and the other one walked away from it. Some side, they both just, everybody just went their separate ways. Those are the three different
Yeah.
outcomes. It could go either way. But if I choose a side, then there's only one outcome, the outcome where I'm on that side.
Yeah. I mean,
That's the
I
that's the
see it.
difference here.
It's,
He made it sound like he wanted to stay silent because he didn't want to get in the middle of it, because he liked all those options being on the table for him. That he wanted to see how it played out and he'd be there when the dust settled. He said that, but then he didn't do that. And
I
I
mean,
and I said, "Why didn't he do that?" And you said he didn't have a choice. And then I said,
yes,
what
I'm
stopped
trying
him?
to explain it, but every time that I do, you have a rebuttal that
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize your
is
explanation continued. Your first explanation was his feelings, but is there
yeah, it
what else?
it's more of the fact that in that situation, the reason that he doesn't have a choice is because he decided to stay silent on the side of saying something positive to H3 or that would benefit them. Okay.
Right. Okay.
And the fact is that he decided to stay silent on that situation, right?
Right.
But he wouldn't have just stopped talking to them and all that, right? He would have still talked to them, but not have given his put his input in
Sure,
the drama about the sea.
he could have still talked to them about other things. It's funny you bring that
Yes,
up because H3 said that, and he showed the DMs on his podcast that they did reach out to iDubbbz, and iDubbbz ghosted them to talk about other things, not that.
yeah,
iDubbbz
that's
reached out. iDubbbz reached out initially to talk about other things the day after it happened, and or it might have been the day it happened. It was either the day of or the day after. But they reached out. iDubbbz and Anissa reach out to H3, and H3 goes, "Look, I don't want to," and they wanted to talk about Israel or Palestine or something, and H3 says, "I don't want to talk with you about that right now. I don't want to deal with that right now." He's got other shit going on. He didn't want to talk politics. He had other stuff going
yeah,
on.
yeah,
After that, iDubbbz ghosted him.
yeah.
They reached
That
back out, and iDubbbz and Anissa never responded. iDubbbz then uses that as a point in his video for the reason why he sided with Hassan.
yeah,
Nothing stopped him from replying to H3. Nothing stopped him but him. He made a
yeah,
choice. He was not
yes, but
forced. It's not, he didn't
yeah,
have a choice. It's that he made a choice. He got his feelings hurt when he tried to say that I don't want to get involved with your stuff. Hey, let's talk about Israel, Palestine, or whatever. And H3 goes, I don't want to talk about that right now. He didn't say I don't want to
yeah,
talk to you anymore. He just said I want to talk about that right now.
yeah,
And iDubbbz got his feelings hurt from that comment, and that's what made him reach out to Hassan. He made a choice. That choice was not made for him. When you say he doesn't have a choice, you're insinuating that it was made for him. It wasn't.
it. I mean, it kind of, in my opinion, was in a way
How?
on the other side of the situation that I just the explanation that I just gave to you on on the HAH side, right?
So I just
You should
gave
put
you
that.
the series of events that led
Yeah,
to
yeah,
him making the content cop with Hassan.
yes, yes, yes. But what I'm
What
trying to
what
say
in that
is,
series of events meant that he didn't have a choice?
it's that when he decided to stay silent on H3H's side, he did the same thing on the other side too. He would talk to them about other things and all that, not the
Okay.
um and all that. He did mention that he on a broadcast that the situation a little bit and that he didn't want to be a part of it and all that. And then because he seen because of that HCHE found out that he was talking to the other side and not like arguing with them or disagreeing or anything like that and just staying out of the business, that HHA got upset at iDubbbz and said mean things and all that. And in iDubbbz's mind at the time and with his emotions, decided to make a choice. But
You're
the
going
reason that he
past.
made,
You're going past. You're getting the series of events wrong.
Mhm.
You're going past the series of events where he made the choice to talk to the other side. The H3 getting mad at him for talking to Hassan and doing all that stuff, it's because he was talking about this. He wasn't talking about Israel or Palestine or just having small talk. And that
And there's
happened
videos
and that
of
happened
this.
afterward.
Okay,
That is what H3 said. That's why he got upset. He didn't get upset that iDubbbz was staying out of it. He got upset that he didn't stay out of it. That he said he would and then didn't do it.
but what was the evidence? If there is evidence, like video or like account, like people witnessing it and all that, like what kind of evidence?
They were using information that they could have only got from iDubbbz.
So what you're saying is that iDubbbz told HHA that he was giving his opinion about the situation to the
It
other
was
party?
it was obvious that he was because the other party was using information they could have only gotten from iDubbbz. It was
What kind of
obvious
information?
that iDubbbz was it was obvious that iDubbbz was talking to that other side. I can't remember exactly what the information was. I don't know if H3 went into detail. I mean, I've covered a lot of this stuff. I'd have to go back and look at it. But it was obvious that iDubbbz had been talking to them and that iDubbbz had picked a side. So H3 calls him out and says, look, if you're going to stay out of it, stay out of it. But we know you've been talking to the other side. And then iDubbbz
Okay.
proves them right by making a content cop, revealing that he did, in fact, choose the other side.
I mean, that that's perfectly fair. Maybe um I misspoke and all that, that it
It's
wasn't
it's
it
it's fine if you
it's
misspoke. It's what I'm finding a lot is that a lot of the people, which I'm gonna stop for a moment, and I'm gonna give you props for being the absolute only person who's even somewhat on that side to actually have the cojones to come in here and talk to me like a human being. Every
yeah.
single one of them will leave comments in my Discord. I mean, they'll leave comments on my YouTube videos. They'll come in my YouTube chat and they'll say a lot of things. And when I say, okay, well, let's talk about it, absolutely none have ever showed up except for
Yeah.
you. So I will give you credit there. That being
Yeah,
said, what I find the most from those people, the more I talk to them,
yeah.
is that when I try to understand that other side, it's not just misspeak. What I tend to find the most from that other side, and I don't fault you or any of those people on that other side. As far as I see it, you guys are kind of victims. You're victims
Yeah.
of misinformation. You have been fed purposeful propaganda from that side.
Yeah.
Hassan himself will tell you he is a propagandist. This is what they do. They propagandize. They paint a picture, they create a new version of reality, and they hook people into it. That's what propaganda is. That's what it does. And he has applied his propaganda tactics that he uses in his political streams to this drama, to rally people to his side. And clearly it has worked.
Yeah.
So whenever I talk to those people, be it in comments or you hear, when I start revealing the things on my side and I start asking very logical, very rational, very reasonable questions to just try to, hey, prove me wrong. Show me this. And I ask for something real, something other than an opinion, something other than a feeling. Show me something real. No one ever has that.
I mean, that's that's yeah. I mean, that makes sense and all that, but if you look at it at that way, what you just said, right? That no one actually
I just,
shows
I,
anything
I'm
real,
just, I'm
right?
just looking
What
at
you
it.
said.
I'm just looking at it the way I feel a normal person would, where I want to live in reality. I don't want
Yes, yes.
opinions. I don't want to be told what to think. I want to be shown what reality is. And if someone
That
says
is
that I'm wrong, then that means you should be able to prove that. You should be able to show me where I'm wrong. And no one
yes,
ever
yes.
does. Jesus.
What, if I remember correctly, you said that it's that no one really is you want to be told what is real, what is facts, what matters or something
So
like that,
so when
right?
I'm looking at the two sides, I was basically giving you the difference between the two sides. Because people wonder,
Hmm.
well, how can you be on Ethan's side? And every time one of those guys comes in my chat and they're like, well, how can you be on Ethan's side? He's done this, this, and this. He's a shitty human being. He said this, this. I don't care what he said. I don't care what your opinion of his personality is. The difference between the two sides is Ethan is showing me things that have happened, and he brought receipts. And the other side
Hmm.
is telling me what to think, and they didn't. I don't like being told what to think. But if you show me things that are real and tell me, come to my own conclusion, I can respect that. That's logical to me. That makes sense. And that's what Ethan's
But
done. He's
isn't
shown me
it?
logs. He's shown skulls that were sent to his house. He's shown videos of Bad Empanada taunting him over it, making it very clear where they came from. Yeah. Yeah. He has showed me enough to prove that they've gone above and beyond to harass him.
Yeah, that's totally fair and all that.
And the other
Um,
side just tells me that they're being harassed, but can't show me how, other than a couple nasty messages. And if that's all you got, that's not good enough.
I mean, um what I've been watching and all that, I mean, to me at the time and all that, and I think that if I did watch it again, that I would have the same thoughts that I had in the
I'm
first
I'm
place.
not I'm not telling you what to think, and I'm not
No,
trying to
no, no.
hide anything from you. I will be the first one to tell you right here on this stream. Go back, go back and watch it again. Go
Yeah.
back and watch the points from both sides, and then what the hell? Oh, hit
That
the wrong
was
button.
me. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. No, no, no. It was me in the game. I hit the wrong
Uh,
button.
oh, I thought
No,
you
no, no,
heard.
no. Go watch from both sides, and tell me how you can come away from that. I mean, if you find something, you find something. Great. I'd love to see it. If I miss something, I miss something. But go back and
Mhm.
watch it from both sides and tell me how you can walk away from that,
Thinking the
thinking,
same way that.
thinking that iDubbbz' side is the victim in this, and not the aggressor.
Well, of what I have watched, um, so far, the way that they have presented it to the audience and all that, and I don't know if I read
Because
into
it
it too
sounds like
much.
you've watched more of their side than Ethan's side, because there have been several
I.
points during this conversation where I've pointed out things that Ethan showed that I know
Mhm.
weren't showed on the Hassan side. And when I brought those up, you openly admitted you had not seen them.
Yes.
Like the Bad Empanada video where he's taunting Ethan. That was not a public video, by the way. He sent that to Ethan in a DM to personally taunt him.
I mean, I watched like like I didn't watch it fully, but I clicked on 2 or 3 of H3 stream podcasts
I
and
would
looked at
invite
the
you. I would
captions.
invite you because obviously I'm gonna have to plug my own stuff because I'm trying to get monetized on YouTube and I'm only a couple hundred watch
Uh-huh.
hours away from
I,
it. So obviously I'm
mhm.
trying to push my analytics here. But all that information is in my videos. I do invite you because I watch the entirety of their stuff on my stream. Unlike Hassan and his lot, I will not clip things out of context. I watch the full thing. So I
Mhm.
watched the entirety of H3's responses to things. I watch the entirety of Content Cop and Content Deputy. I watch all of those things. And I invite you, even though I know you've probably seen at least the Content Cop and Content Deputy before, I know you've seen some of these before. I invite you to go watch them again, specifically with my response to them. And take notes. Have a pen and paper out. Take some notes and tell me where I'm wrong. Tell me what I got wrong
Okay.
and why. I am more than open to being proven wrong, but in Also, look at the comments on those videos, because every time someone said that in the comments, I asked that question. I said, what was I wrong about? Or I invited them to the Discord to prove me wrong. None of them
Yeah.
ever post anything to prove me wrong. None of them ever come to the Discord. Except for you. So that's why I'm inviting you to. I don't mean to say you speak for that entire community, but you're kind of my only window into it right now.
Yeah, it's not like I'm like a wide open window, but I mean, yeah,
But at least your
like that.
mind is open enough to be open to being questioned, to at least have the conversation. So since you're
Yeah.
open to that, then I'm going to invite you to be open to it, and let's have that conversation, and let's see. Like I said, I'm open to being proven wrong. You can go through all my videos. You can watch them. I try not to do too many on H3. I even say it in my videos. I thought I was done with H3, but then they made a new video. They made a new response. iDubbbz made a content deputy. Something new happened, and now I feel like I got to cover it. I'm trying to stay up to date on it, so here we go. So
I also wanted to bring up a little bit about the debate that they had with him. What's his name, right?
I will answer your questions about the debate, but I'm going to give the caveat up front, because I don't know if you were watching, how much of my stuff you've watched, or if you watched me from the beginning of this stream, but I make it very clear from the beginning, I do not give two fucks about the politics of this. I do
Yeah,
not
that's
care.
right. I don't
I
either.
do not care about neither Israel nor Palestine. So if you start invoking the genocide word and you start bringing up politics as your reasoning, that doesn't fly here. Politics
That's
isn't an
perfect.
excuse to, call CPS on someone and send, skulls
That
home.
is
That's ridiculous.
that is perfectly fine.
Okay,
Um,
just so we're on that page, I'm not going to be able to answer any political questions. I know jack shit
that
about politics.
that me too. Same here. What I wanted to talk about the debate is, first of all, um, I watch it on his in his video and all
Now,
that.
I'll
H3
admit up
Snarker.
front, I didn't watch the entirety of the debate because a large portion of that is politics I don't care about. So
I didn't either.
I kind of focused on that. I did watch in clips from other streamers who did the legwork for me and watched the whole thing. And I just watched the clips where he talked about the drama, because that's all I care about is the drama. I don't care about the politics.
I did the same thing. So yeah. But the way that H3 was acting and presented himself was the aggressor in the situation, in my opinion.
When it came to the politics stuff in that debate, I'll agree with you. He was the aggressor in that debate, but that's a debate.
No, no, not even that. In the fact that at the start, when they talked about the sword, he wouldn't let him, without interrupting or saying something when he was saying something, wouldn't stop and just listen, and was provocative to him when he said, well, maybe you, and said some rude things to the other side, like, oh, maybe you should um start listening and stop talking, when he was barely, in my opinion, talking and was trying to just
I think
explain his side.
I think I know what you're talking about, and I think I'll agree he was aggressive in that debate, but as someone who enjoys a good debate myself, that's how debates go. Like I don't when you're in a debate format, I don't look at little shit like that as, oh, you personally attacked me. No, that's just a debate. Sometimes you do have to be aggressive and you have to interrupt the other side, especially when they're about to say something false and you don't want that out there, so you interrupt it. And in my opinion, that's what he was doing with Hassan, is he was about to say some false things that H3 has already heard before and knew he was going to say and was ready for them. It's a debate tactic. It's not really an attack at that point. It's a I'm going to cut you off and hold your feet to the fire and make you actually answer the question. You're
So
about to
when
say something unrelated to the question, so I'm going to cut you off and refocus you back on the question. That's what I saw happening there. But I mean, I was in debate club in high school and college. I enjoy a good debate, so I'm familiar with all those debate tactics.
yeah. So I have an example that I want to give you. Okay, if
Okay.
me and you are talking, right? And I ask you, was that supposed to be an apple that you have in your hand, right?
Okay.
And you tell me that yes, it is supposed to be an apple, and it is what I um am showing you right now. And I say, no, I don't believe you. I don't
Okay.
believe you. What is that called?
What is that called when you show somebody the truth and they deny it and say they don't
Tell
believe you?
them, tell them, and tell them that that's what it is and what
I
it
mean,
is.
am I showing you the apple so you can see it, or am I just telling you I'm holding an apple and you can't see it? Because there's two different things.
Yeah, I think it's that one. Yeah.
So you can't
In a way,
see
yeah.
what's in my hand.
Yeah, not
You're just
exactly.
you're just asking me if that's an apple in my hand, and I say yes, and you say you don't believe me.
Yeah. And then there is a video behind you or a picture or two of you having an apple and all that
That I would say
you
that
turn it
that's fine. A picture of me holding an apple doesn't prove I'm holding an apple in my hand right now. So
yeah.
if someone wanted to question that, that would be fine.
Yes. And then every time and then couple minutes or so, I ask you over and over again the same question over and over. I mean, the same question, and you answer me the same way, right? Isn't that like a definition of insanity? Doing something over and over again to to see to and expect a different answer?
That definition of insanity goes beyond just the one phrase that became popular in Far Cry. There's more to it than that. But I see what you're saying. Um, so there would come a point where I would show you the apple in my hand. I would just
Hmm.
show you reality. And at that
Yeah.
point, if you continued to ask me after being shown, then yes, you are insane.
Okay. Uh, so in this scenario, with the situation, right? That
Yeah.
made that video, and that all of the group posed and did other things and all that, and iDubbbz on his own volition that Hassan said multiple times that it was his own choice. He didn't have any say in what he chose personally and what he was thinking and all that. Grabbed a random sword, in his opinion, that he seen, just grabbed and decided to do have a random sword in his hand and
Mm-hmm.
pose with it. Did not think of the rudeness or anything like that, and just wanted to s-
Okay.
um
So the reason
pose
that
with her sword.
so the reason that H3 pushes back against that is because it is a lie that he's able to prove. He can prove it is a lie. He knows
And
that Hassan thinks of that sword. There's a lot of evidence to point to that sword being intentionally used, and that's what he was bringing to his attention. And that's what Hassan was basically just gaslighting and trying to rewrite reality.
okay,
There's a
so
lot
what
of
you mean
evidence to
is
point to the fact that that sword was bought because of its hilt, and not because he's a Bleach fan, because it looks like a swastika. That it was intentionally used in that video because it looks like a swastika, and that it was
okay,
displayed there purposefully because it looks like a swastika.
okay. That's perfectly fine and all that. That he knew that that was in his
So,
opinion.
so he knew and that's not opinion. He can prove that.
No, no, no. In his opinion of the buyer, I mean Hassan, in his opinion, that it looked like cool and was like
No, no, no.
a
That's not an
equal to,
opinion. That is a lie. A lie is not an opinion. It is a lie. We know
that
it is a
he
lie.
perceived it as
Yes,
one.
yes, we know it is a lie because he himself called out the fact that it looked like a swastika when he picked up the sword and bought it. He bought it on stream. When he picked it up, he said
Yes.
it looked sus. he refers to it as the swastika sword and then purchases
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, no, I was trying to say that that the fact that he
So him saying it looks
personally
cool.
thought
All right.
that
All right. So
and seen
him
it like that.
so him downplaying that during that debate and saying it just looks cool means one of two things. Either one, he is lying. He thinks it
Hmm.
looks like a swastika. Or two, he is telling the truth, in which case he thinks swastikas are cool. Those are
Okay.
the two outcomes.
So, in that situation, I am going to probably, I'm not trying to get into politics and all that. It's more of history.
I mean, some of
Um,
it's a little unavoidable, but I just don't want to go too deep into it, is what I was saying.
yeah, that's fine. The this the Hitler's flag or symbol of it
The swastika. Yeah.
is called a swastika. Do you know that what it actually from the beginning before he actually took it
It was originally a
and
Christianity symbol, yes. I'm well aware of the history of the swastika.
for peace?
Yes. That's not what it means anymore, though.
That's not what the that society sees it as right now because of the past.
Right, right.
Right.
Just like words can change definitions over time, so can symbols.
Yes, but it doesn't change. But it doesn't make it. I mean, it doesn't change the fact that the a word right can change meanings and all that, and the way that you say it could, and all that doesn't mean that the person isn't used to the other side or is either trying to
If a
or
symbol,
is.
if a symbol
Yes. Hmm.
becomes so synonymous with something that the entire world sees it the same way, you cannot
Hmm.
possibly use the excuse that you don't personally see it that way anymore. It is impossible that you did not know the intention there. That is
that
not the
you
case.
that you don't exactly agree with,
It doesn't
what
matter if you agree with it or not. You know the perception of this symbol. You know the entire world's perception of this symbol. You know the consequence of showing it.
yeah.
Your personal belief on it does not matter there. You
So
know the
in that,
consequences of that action. You know how it will be perceived to people when you show it. Whether or not you agree with that perception is irrelevant. What matters is
yeah,
that I know if I show this to people, they're going to see this.
yes,
And it's
but
impossible for anyone holding that symbol to say they didn't know the world was going to look at it that way, because I don't see it that way. There is no level of ignorance on this planet. If you were the level of ignorance required for that statement to be true, you would be unable to breathe. You would be a vegetable.
okay. So in that case, another thing that I want to just ask and bring up is that what you just said basically is that there is no way possible that he didn't intentionally purposely have that sword because he thought it was um other
Because he
than
thought it was cool looking, because he thought it was just a cool sword.
and that the fact that it's just a hilt
Yeah,
or a
there is
design
no there
that,
is no part
that
of me that believes that he thinks it didn't matter. No. There's no part of me that thinks that he thinks that that sword, that hilt, didn't matter, that it wouldn't be a big deal. There's no part of me that believes that.
but why
For all the reasons I just listed.
that that he know because he said that it looked
Because
like
he's very
one.
because he's very, not just that he said it looks like one, but he's very aware of the video they're making, the number of eyes that are going to see it, and the way it's going to be perceived. And he wanted that perception on purpose. It was a dog whistle. He could have, I would believe that he just thought it was a cool looking sword to put in the video so that they could hold a sword.
Yeah.
if they had not gone out of their way in that video to make sure that that hilt was as visible as possible.
Okay. Yeah.
They
Um.
when iDubbbz is waving it around in front of the camera, he is pointing it directly at the camera to make sure you see the hilt and not the sword. He could have held it
Okay.
20 different other ways that would have made the hilt less visible. He made no effort to hide the hilt. It was quite the opposite. He put it on full display on purpose. Yes.
But in that point, why is it that you that he was attacking Hassan? I mean, yeah, he owned the sword and all that, but he's not the one that made it visible. He's not the one that uploaded the video the way that he did, presented the video the way that he did, or anything like that. He
You
did
would
not
have
have
to
the.
be, you would have to be childlike levels of ignorant to think that he played zero hand in that. The video is
I
filmed
mean,
in
there's
his
no proof.
house. What? The video is
There's.
filmed in his house. He
Mhm.
kept the sword in his bedroom, which means why the fuck you letting iDubbbz in your bedroom if not to hand him that? Why is he in your bedroom to begin with?
Yeah.
All of the things in that video that took place in Hassan's house, yes, he is responsible for. He signed off on them.
I
That is what
mean,
that means.
I don't really see your side right now
How
because,
can
like,
you not?
the
I
fact
don't.
that
Okay. All right. All
iDubbbz
right.
is his own
Here's.
person.
Hey, here you go. I'm my own person. I go over to
Uh-huh.
your house. I go over to
Yes.
your house. Me and you film a video. All right.
Mhm.
So me and you are going to film this video at your house, and you film the introduction for it. All right. You
Yes.
film the introduction for it, and I film the rest of the video. And in the rest of that video, I had sex with your dog. I raped
Okay.
an animal.
All right.
And then we put it up on the internet. Do you think the
Uh-huh.
police are going to believe you weren't involved?
Okay. Let
Do you
me get
think that's
this.
how that will play out?
Let me just let me just think about it for a second and in my head break it down and then
It's
ask
very
you
easy to
by
break down.
side
I go
by
to your house.
side.
Here, I'll break it down for you. I go to your house. We're getting
Mhm.
along. We decide to make a video. You film the intro to that video in your own
Yes.
house, the same way
Yes.
Hassan filmed the intro to his video. In
Yeah.
the rest of the video, you're not in it. You left the room. And while you were out of the room, I grabbed your dog and I stuck my dick in it. And I filmed it.
Yes.
And then I
But I'm
uploaded
not
it to
there
the internet.
anymore.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I
So
didn't
answer
know
me.
your thoughts or
That's
your
plaus-
intentions
that's
of doing that.
called plausible deniability. Do you think that that will fly when it's shown to the police if you tell them that?
The video of that you
Do you
started.
think that when the video is shown to the police with you
Uh-huh.
clearly okay with the video and you being in it and you filming the intro, that they wouldn't also see you as a suspect in that crime?
I
Do
mean,
you think
there's a
that they would
lot.
be fine with that excuse? Do you really think that that would fly?
I mean, they would have to have all of the information and a lot of proof and
The proof
facts
is
and
you're
all
in
that.
the proof is you're in the video. The crime took place in your house. Sounds like there's a lot of
Yeah,
proof against you right there. Do you really
but
think that if you got called into an interrogation room and shown this video and the police say, "Here's you and your friend in a video. Your friend rapes this dog. It's in your house. That's your dog. Why didn't you report the crime if it happened in your house and you didn't want it to happen? Why didn't you report it? Why are you okay with this? Were you the one holding the camera? We need more information. You're a suspect. And you think if you
okay,
tell them, "Oh, I didn't know he was doing that," that they're just going to say, "Oh, well, that checks out. You can go home." Do you think that's how that interview will go?
it depends on the
No,
information
no,
and
no, it doesn't. That I can tell you definitively, that is not the way that interview will go. No
you're
cop
telling me.
ever let someone go home when they're a suspect just because they said they didn't do it. You
Yes.
need more than that. That
need
is
more
not how that
information and
right.
and
You need to be
more
able
of
you
an
are now in a
investigation.
position where you need to be able to prove that you had nothing to do and were completely unaware of the crime even happening. You now have to prove that. You're a suspect.
Yes, that is
And the
that is how
location
you.
of the crime was your fucking living room.
But you weren't there, and the
You're
only
a
proof that
suspect. You now have to prove that.
the only and that you would have to prove that, yes, that you weren't in the room and all that and all that. But if you were in the room and all that,
So if we're
but
looking at the two stories, there is way more evidence on Ethan's side of this story than Hassan's. On Hassan, we just have his word. That's it. That's
yeah,
all we got.
but it's not illegal to have a sword that looks
We're not
like
arguing
a.
legality. We're arguing what happened. What happened is he put a swastika adjacent symbol in a video as a dog whistle. That is what happened. Is it illegal? No, but it doesn't change the fact that that's what happened. We're not arguing whether or not it's legal. We're arguing whether or not he intentionally put that sword in that video and displayed that hilt. And there is way more evidence to prove he did than didn't.
I I'm gonna
I
be
think
truthfully
I
honest
think
and
he
no.
put just enough. I think he put just enough in that video to dog whistle, but not enough to be obvious, so that he could have exactly that thing I said he had, plausible deniability. That's part of the game being played here. He always leaves himself an out so that he can't get called out for being, I mean, leaving an anti-Semitic thing intentionally in a video and owning it publicly. Yeah, that's a bad look. He's not going to do that. But he wants
But
Ethan to see it. And he wants to
I
be able
just
to say he didn't know. He left himself plausible deniability on purpose. Was he okay with it? Yes. There's way more evidence to prove he's okay with the sword existing in his home, at least, because he bought it. He's okay with owning a thing with a swastika, or what he believed at the time to be a swastika, in his home.
that
Would
he
you
viewed
own?
it as one,
Yes, I said
but
he
that didn't
believed
make
to
the
be a
fact that
swastika. Yes.
yeah, but it doesn't make it a fact that it was one.
No, wait, it is
If
one.
you
It
no,
absolutely
it
is one. No, I can prove that right now. I did it earlier in the
it is
stream. Were you watching the stream
okay.
when I did it? Were
No,
you watching
I
the stream when I
just
did? Okay. Are you watching my stream now?
yes.
Okay, cool. That's so the symbol on that hilt was an inverted swastika, right? Backward swastika.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That hilt is also a 3D object. How do 3D objects work in real life?
I
You see,
you
okay,
have
I'll show you one. Here's one right here on my stream. Here's my vape. See how the
uh-huh.
lines are pointing this way on this
Yeah.
3D object?
Mm-hmm.
If I flip it, now they're pointed the other way. So whether or not that hilt is a swastika depends on which side of the sword you're looking at it from.
Yeah. Okay.
So there
I
is
can
an angle you can look at that where it is a swastika. It's
yeah.
just like flipping a coin. There is an angle that's tails, and there's an angle that's heads. Both sides
Yeah,
exist. It is a swastika.
yes. I can see what you mean, but what I mean is that the person that either designed and made the hilt,
I'm not worried about them. They're not part of this video.
they really are because
No, they're not. They
the
absolutely are
person that
not.
made
Absolutely no one that made this sword said one day this will be in a Hassan Piker video. That did not happen.
and they did not intend it to look
I
the
don't.
hilt to look like
Yes, and
a
the people who made the swastika didn't intend for it to be used for the worst regime on the planet, but that happened. That doesn't matter. What came before doesn't matter. What matters is the context in which it was used right now.
okay.
That's what matters.
All right.
Thank you for the sub. Welcome aboard, man. That is what matters. What matters is Hassan picked it up at a convention and said it looked like a swastika. He laughed at that, and then he bought it because it looked like a swastika. He did not buy it because he is a Bleach fan. That is a lie.
Yeah, I know.
That is provable in the video. He then refers to it multiple times whenever guests come over to his house as the swastika sword. So even when corrected And given the chance to watch Bleach and see its context, he himself did not care for that context. He still called it the swastika sword. There's not a doubt in
Hmm.
my mind that when iDubbbz came over to his house, he did the same thing with iDubbbz he did with other guests, and he showed him his swastika sword. And then they probably got the idea to put it in the video. And in that video, they waved that sword with its hilt perfectly level with the camera in front of it multiple times. And then posed with a picture where the hilt is the most visible object on that sword. It
Okay.
could not be any more clear the intentionality behind these actions. It is not
Yeah.
coincidence. That is a
Yeah.
lie.
I
That is
mean,
gaslighting.
there there isn't a coincidence, and there is absolutely factual evidence that can prove that he intended it. There's video of him saying that
Him
he
saying
wants.
something is not proof.
Okay, but what you're saying is that you have been saying
Actions are
is
proof.
that
I'm looking at their
yes,
actions. I don't care what they said. Their actions have spoken louder in this scenario than their words.
but there has to be what is it? There has to be preference or thought and like what is it?
That is all clear
What
through
is
the
it?
actions. Yes, there was
When you
intent.
plan on
There was
killing
yes,
somebody and
there
all
was
that, what is
yes, there was intent. There was motive, and there was, and all of that was applied to the actions. Yes, that is what
and
I'm
that
saying.
is factually
Hmm.
capable of being proved
Yes,
without a doubt.
I just proved it. I
Okay,
I
but
proved it
gave
through his,
me
I proved it through his actions.
yes,
And as far as motive goes, he absolutely has motive to trigger Ethan. They're beefing. That's motive.
yes,
And the
that's
intent
fair.
was to make a video to attack Ethan. This is an attack video.
All of that you have
So
said
all of
and that
that
you
adds up pretty obviously to me to what happened. Yes. That
yes,
all of
but
those actions equaled intent. Yes.
if you look at it in a law situation, that is all what is the word? Speculation
Circumstantial
proof
is
evidence? Yeah,
circumstantial is the word you're looking for, and people have been
yes,
convicted, and people absolutely have been convicted on circumstantial evidence.
yes.
Circumstantial evidence is better than none. So circumstantial. So if you want to go with how the law works, even though this doesn't apply to this situation
Is
at all,
yeah,
but I'll play your game for a
yeah,
second. So if you
yeah.
want to go with how the law works, there are different levels of evidence. There's direct evidence. We found the bloody knife with your handprints on it. That's pretty direct. Okay. Now there's circumstantial, which means there's a lot of things to prove that this didn't happen, but there's still a maybe it wasn't. But it's more likely than not. So circumstantial means more likely than not that this is true. It's not
Mhm.
definitive, but it's more likely than not. And then there's what Hassan did, his evidence to prove otherwise, which is known as hearsay, which is we have no fucking idea. All we have is his word.
Yeah. Hmm.
So if we're looking at the
So
two in a court of law and it comes down to circumstantial evidence versus hearsay, the jury will lean towards circumstantial, yes. And
yes,
people have been convicted on circumstantial, absolutely. That has
and
happened.
I personally I'm not trying to be rude again, but
You're fine. You can be as rude as you want.
you said that in your opinion, without a doubt, that without
Not a
changing your
doubt,
mind, or
not a doubt in my mind that this was intentional. That is what I said.
yes,
Yes.
with um, what's the word that you said before? Without a doubt, and you said infinity. I mean not infinity, but because of the subs. Sorry, I have
Because
a
of the
speech.
totality of all of the actions leading up to it being in
Says
the video, yes.
no.
There's
I'm talking about the. Oh, sorry. I'm more talking about the law aspect of it.
the
The
circumstantial.
evidence. Yeah. You said that it's not guaranteed, but it's more likely. Like there's not.
More likely than not. So you're looking at like 80%. to whereas hearsay
Yeah.
is like 20%.
And you said that there is no doubt, right?
No
That you
doubt
think
in
that?
my mind. There's no doubt in my mind.
Isn't that
Now,
a
but
little bit of a bias standpoint, right?
no,
That I would.
that's my opinion. You're now arguing the difference between my opinion and the law.
Yeah.
The law doesn't really apply here. I said I'd play your game just so I could define the terms, but in reality, they're not on trial. This isn't a trial. The court of public opinion doesn't work the same way as the court of law. And that's
But
what he's
then
banking
why
on.
does it
That's what this is
matter what?
about. This is about the court of public opinion because it's the public opinion he's appealing to with this dog whistle. That's the point. And in the court of public opinion, it's pretty obvious what he's doing to both sides. The only difference is
Okay.
one side will admit it and one side won't. That's the point of a dog whistle. The point of a dog whistle is that you can get the attention of this group in a way that lets you say, I didn't get the attention of that group. So they can deny that they got the message, but they got the message. Are you watching my stream right now?
Yeah.
What's that mean?
Give me a second. I'm catching up.
Yeah, it's fine. I'll hold it up there for a second.
That usually means okay.
Does it?
Yeah.
Not anymore.
That I.
Not anymore. Hadn't for a while.
Oh, it hasn't.
Do that. Do that in a picture. Go ahead.
Okay.
Do that on camera. Do that in a picture and post it to the internet. Post it up on Twitter. Don't actually do that.
Okay. Yeah.
That's a white supremacist symbol, dude. Don't actually do that. No
And
one's
because
using that symbol for no one's used that symbol for okay since the Proud Boys started using it and Nick Fuentes and that whole group started using it as their dog whistle. Once everybody
yeah.
figured out that was a dog whistle, it was over. Don't use the okay symbol anymore. That's something everyone online should know.
Okay. That everyone should know and
Shocked.
all that. And
Honestly, a little shocked you didn't, but yeah, that's the white supremacist dog whistle. And the point of them taking the okay symbol as their dog whistle is they'd hold it, you can't see my legs on stream, but they would do this, but hold it down next to their leg so that it's real kind of subtle in the picture that they're making the okay symbol. But it was a way for them to signal to each other that same fucking page, buddy. I'm on your side.
oh, okay. And
That's how they plan January 6th, by the way.
I'm gonna be truthfully honest with you. I don't know what you prefer, what you are like, what you mean by that, and what you're talking about. To be exact, like
What part of that confused you?
of the fact that you pointed out a date that is a post that is something that happened, but I don't know
Wait. I
the
should ask.
knowledge.
I should ask a question here. Maybe that's where the disconnect is. Are you American?
Yes.
And you don't know what January 6th was?
What year? January 6th.
Jesus, 2020, I believe. Yeah.
I mean 2020. I mean
Biden's inauguration day.
that's yeah, no. I do know of that. I just don't I mean
Okay.
in my knowledge of it, they call it the time that Trump decided to invade on in
Well, I call
in
it January 6th because that's the only definitive answer. People argue over what to call it. January 6th is
yeah,
the date it happened. No one argues over when it happened. So that's why most
yeah,
people just say January 6th. Some people
yeah,
call it an insurrection, etc. Like people will argue over, some people call it a riot. Like people will argue over the name. I was trying to avoid that argument by just going January 6th because no one
yeah.
argues
That's
that it
what I've
happened
known
on
of it,
January
so I
6th.
got a little
Um,
confused. Yeah.
so yes, so I'm talking about the insurrection, January 6th. That is
Hmm.
how that's not the only way how, but it was that symbol played a part in how they planned it by using that symbol in pictures to dog whistle to each other and rally their troops so that they could
Yes.
do that. And now that
Yeah.
people know that this doesn't mean okay anymore, no one uses that in pictures anymore. The
Okay.
meaning of it changed. People
I
use
mean,
it. People use it. It's the meaning of things change was my point.
yeah.
Even to
I
this day, that something big enough can happen that it changes the perception of something forever. And that will
yeah.
probably forever be tied to that now because this is going to make the history books. Like, that's it. This will always be part of that. The
Yes.
point I was trying to make is that the plausible deniability doesn't change the action. It's obvious
Yeah.
to everyone who looked at those people in those pictures, especially when they went back and looked during their investigation after that day, that everyone in that picture making that symbol was part of this group and was going to the Capitol on January 6th.
Mhm.
It became very obvious that that's what was happening. Every one of them could deny it, but the facts were all there. You made the symbol. It's not a coincidence that you made the symbol and then everyone else that made that symbol was with you on January 6th. That cannot be a coincidence.
Yeah.
In the same way, this cannot be a coincidence. Everything he's done in the past leading up to this points at the fact that he thinks of it as a swastika. It is his swastika sword, and he finds it funny. He knows swastikas would piss off Ethan because he's Jewish, and he put it in his video.
Okay.
The totality
Yeah.
of all your actions up till that point are enough to prove the intention of that action.
Yeah.
It
So,
should be obvious to anyone watching what happened there. And that's what I mean by
yes.
court of public opinion. Any normal person, you could show that to someone who doesn't know who H3 is or iDubbbz is, and you could show them that hilt and that video, and they'd say, "There's a swastika on that sword." It would be that intentional that normal people would find it obvious. Yes.
Well, I guess I'm not normal then,
No, you're not.
because I did not think I did not know a lot
The
about
two of us, the two of us are both terminally online. We're not normies. I'm talking about normal
yeah.
people. And that's another argument I make when someone uses that stupid fucking excuse that it comes from Bleach or blah, 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 that that symbol is so innocent. If you honestly believe that that symbol is that innocent, and this is where I think I know you guys are lying, and I'm not saying you specifically, but all the people defending it, I think you know it looks like a swastika. I think you agree with me that it looks like a swastika. The difference between the two of us is you won't admit it, but I can prove it. I can
No,
prove
it,
I
I
can
didn't say
prove
it.
I can prove that you believe it looks like a swastika and that you know if you wore it, people would see a swastika.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
if you wore it inverted.
I will agree with you that it can look it
Because every
does
time
look like
somebody
one.
gives me, because every time, doesn't just look like one, it looks enough like one to be dangerous.
Yes, yes.
That
Yeah.
symbol looks enough like a swastika that it is actually illegal to display in Germany. Germany makes it illegal to display swastikas and swastika-like symbols, swastika-adjacent symbols. This one's listed there.
Yes.
So
In
even the country that
another.
gave us the Nazis says that's too close for comfort.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
And
I
every time
can
someone makes that excuse and tries to tell me what it technically is, or that it's from Bleach, or whatever other excuse that they want to use, I don't want to hear your excuses. I don't care if you're technically right. That doesn't matter either. What matters is perception. And if you honestly believe that it's so innocent that normal people would look at it and not see a swastika, I want you to put that symbol on a t-shirt by itself. No Bleach symbolism, no sword, just the symbol. This big on a t-shirt and wear it in public.
okay.
Loud and proud.
I
I
can
want you to do
yeah.
that. Live stream the event for your safety and for
I won't
content.
do that, but I get what you mean, yeah.
No,
But
I would want to see it live streamed. I do recommend live streaming it or at least recording it because I guarantee you, if I had to take a guess as to which one you'd get more of, a bunch of people coming up to you to be like, yo, based Bleach fan, versus a bunch of people who call you a white supremacist, I'd bet my next paycheck it's gonna be the latter.
yes, I can understand your point of view. But we've been talking for a little bit, right?
We have been talking
Um,
for a while, so let's wrap it all up. Let's bring it all home because I'd probably
okay, I just want to
need to end
make
my
one
stream too
little
here because
point.
it's almost time for my wife and kids to wake up. I've been up all night at this
Yeah,
point,
I
but I don't
just
got to work today. It's fine.
you said fats matter to you, right? And what's real and reality and all that,
Reality, yes.
right?
Reality
Okay.
absolutely matters to me.
In reality and in fact, that the swords that have been made just like that are not for um um only is a design that somebody made,
Right, right.
not
No, no,
thinking
no,
that
no.
it
I,
looked like
I, I
a
agree that in reality, I'll agree with you. That sword in reality was made as a Bleach fan prop. It was sold at an
yeah,
anime convention. It's obvious that that sword was not made with hate in mind. But why it
yeah,
was made doesn't matter. The reality
yeah,
is
it's
it's being
how it was used.
used for something else. Yes.
Yes. I just wanted to
It's being the
make that.
sword in defense of all the people saying it's a Bleach sword. I agree with you. It is a Bleach sword, which is why you as Bleach fans should be angry because your precious Bleach sword from that anime you love is being weaponized and misrepresented.
Yeah, that's perfectly fair. I just wanted to make sure that I got everything because it seemed like, yeah, a situation was happening, but
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, no, no,
sorry.
no. I don't want to make it sound like I'm just attacking Hassan at every little piece I can find. No, I'm going at the things that are obvious. I don't know enough about Hassan. I've never watched his content. All I've seen is the horrendous clips that everyone else has seen.
Same.
And I tried to watch his content once, and I think the one time I clicked on his stream to watch, I stared at an empty chair for about 6 minutes before I was like, what the fuck? And I just clicked off. So I've never actually sat down and tried to watch his content. I honestly don't know how anyone can. He seems pretty boring to me. But I say the same thing about Destiny and most streamers. I don't get how people can watch Asmongold, but to be fair, I think both sides look equally boring. but but as far as what I know about him and what I know about his beef with us with Ethan and their history, I do think his actions in that video were intentional. I think that his house was chosen to be the location of filming for a reason. And that
So what
reason
you're,
wasn't because he has a cool house.
yeah, and just a little more, um, and you think that iDubbbz is okay with the fact that he was holding the sword and that
Yes. So so
Hassan
so I
um told
yeah.
him in a way and all that
So
that
I
that's what it meant.
okay, so I clarified this in one of my other videos, but I'll say it again here. I do not believe that iDubbbz is racist. I don't believe he is anti-Semitic.
That's what I
I
was
do
thinking that
believe
you thought.
I do believe that he is okay with it. That he's okay with people who are.
I mean, like, is it wrong to be okay with that?
It's not wrong to be friends with people who are or to be okay with it. It is wrong to get involved in the things that they do that involve that. For instance, I could be friends with someone in the KKK. It wouldn't make
Yeah,
me racist to be friends with him. It would not be okay for me to go to a meeting with him.
yeah.
Where I'm
I mean,
hanging out with that friend and what they're doing when I hang out with them matters at that point. It's
okay.
okay with iDubbbz to be friends with him. It is not okay for him to hold the swastika sword, wave it around in front of the camera, and be part of an attack video on a Jewish guy that they don't like. That changes things.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you're right. You're right. I just, in my point of view, I just don't, I doubt that he would agree and just do
Because
it
I used to
because
have, because I
it
used
was,
to have this, because I used to have this argument with my dad when I was younger,
mhm.
and that's how I learned all of these things about like what's okay and what's not okay when it comes to actions like that and being friends with people like this. My dad would constantly yell at me back in high school, in that, middle school, high school era. I had a bad habit or what he considered to be a bad habit, of making friends with people that he thought were bad influences.
Yeah.
But that logical part of my brain clicked, and it kind of blew his mind when I said it to him, and he didn't really have an argument back. And at that point, I realized I was right. I was like, in order for bad influences to exist, the opposite must also be true. Good influences can exist. So why would you assume that he's a bad influence on me as opposed to me being a good influence on him?
So
So
what you're
when
trying
I
to
made
say is
friends,
that,
so when I made friends with those people
uh,
that were bad influences, I made it my mission to be the good influence on them. But what I quickly learned was that how I hang out with them mattered. If I hang out with the drug dealer kid at the place he sells drugs, I'm not being a good influence. I'm being an accomplice.
yeah, that's. I mean, I can see what you're saying
Now,
now.
now I'm influenced by him. He's in control.
Yeah.
So if I want
Yes.
to be the good influence, I have to stay in situations where I am in control of the environment.
Yeah.
Hassan's house is not an environment iDubbbz controls.
Yeah.
He's not being
I
a good
mean,
influence on
if
Hassan there. He's not. He's
if you
being an accomplice.
you could say that, and you could, and you are right in that scenario, but you could also say that iDubbbz was manipulated and a little bit in a corner of being, I want to upload and make this video because I was hurt with what
His
Ethan
feelings
did
being
and all
hurt do
that.
not justify those actions.
Yeah, but it does
All
make
you're doing
make
is
it.
giving me. All you're doing is giving me motive. You're
Yeah,
hurting your case. You're giving me motive for him to do these things, not do them.
I'm not trying to say that he didn't and all that, but what I'm trying to say is that I don't think that he maliciously did it,
I do.
like to be
For
a
all the reasons you just listed, I do. His feelings were hurt. He knew this would make Ethan mad, and that made him happy. And that's why he did it. Yes, you yourself just gave me the motive for those actions.
I mean, I guess I did and all that, but I guess it's just perceptive, how you view it and all that, and really I don't really think that it will change my view right now. I might need a little bit of time to see it in a different way right now because how I'm
I'm
seeing it is different.
Hey, I'm open to talking anytime. Like I said, watch my other videos to kind of get the full
I'll try.
picture. So the next time you pop in and talk, which I encourage you to do so, definitely come back and talk. This has been entertaining. Um, but the next
Yeah.
time you pop back in and talk, then you'll have the full context of of at least my perspective and where I'm coming from, and hopefully the full context of the beef, as you'll probably see stuff in those videos. I know for certain you'll see some stuff you haven't seen before because I do watch the Bad Empanada taunting video that he did, which is just outright fucking disturbing. I don't know how you watch that, be on their side and not go, are we the bad guys?
I mean,
That's like that old skit where the forget what British comedy show it was, but they had that old skit where the Nazi soldiers realize they're the bad guys because they think they're fighting for the good guy, and then he goes, "Sir, just out of curiosity, are we the baddies?" He goes, "Why would you think that?" And he's like, "Well, our symbol has a skull on it." Yeah, and they point out all the reasons the Nazis are bad, and they kind of realize it in real time that, oh shit, we're the bad guys. So no,
yeah,
I don't
but it,
think everyone on that side is bad. I think some people don't realize it yet, but I think when you look at Bad Empanada, it should be blatantly obvious that he is a bad guy.
yeah,
That
I
guy's a
mean,
fucking psychopath.
I
So
can
then,
see, I
so
can
then when you look
agree.
at the people who agree with the psychopath, it starts to feel a little bad, doesn't it? That you're agreeing with the psychopath?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
that's
I mean, you want to talk about feelings, that should feel a little bad to you. To look at that and go, wait, this is the guy we're following?
But
Oh
if
no. Yeah.
I mean, in I I'm think I don't know exactly, but in my opinion, that I haven't seen besides that he was saying awful things that probably was
So
on
the video
purpose
I'm
and
talking about is probably the most damning, and that one's in one of my videos. I can't remember which one. I recommend you watch them all. You'll know it when you get to it. My videos are
yeah.
designed to be played in the background while you do other stuff. You can listen to me
Uh-huh.
like a podcast. Just be sure to pull out your phone and look at the video when you hear that part coming. You'll know it when you hear it. Ominous music will play. You'll hear
Yeah.
him taunting Ethan, and he outright takes credit in that video for the attacks on Ethan. He doesn't just take credit for them, he calls them attacks, and he promises there will be more. And
Yeah,
then he
yeah.
laughs maniacally. And he does
But
it
is
all
he
to ominous music. And this
I
wasn't a
mean,
public video. This is what he sent privately to Ethan in a DM after CPS came to his house.
yeah, that's really fucked up. I can say that for sure, but Um, I really don't think that the people that have been like included in this like drama and all that, like the two sides and all that, that I would really say that it's just two sides. I would say it's that guy's side and then the rest of the ones that actually shared and watched the video and all
Yeah,
because
no, 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 no. Everyone on the IW Hassan side agree with the psychopath. That's not in dispute. They openly say as much.
that they
Hassan
think
even
that
refers to him as based empanada now. Not bad empanada, based empanada. They agree with him, yes. They don't hide
okay.
that.
Well, now that I heard that, I mean, I don't have proof that they actually think that because I
Well,
haven't heard
that's also
that
in those
information.
videos.
But
That's also in those videos. There's plenty of proof that they agree with him.
yeah,
It's
I mean,
it's this isn't an iDubbbz example where they're okay with him. They agree with him. They believe everything he's saying. They're pushing it. They're platforming it. They agree with it. It's all very intentional. They agree with the psychopath. And I don't
I mean,
understand. And I understand that I would agree with you that not all the fans might have known that. But the minute Ethan made that video of him acting psychotic, sending it to his DMs, the minute that video became public, no one can hide behind the excuse of I didn't know anymore. It's public now. You should know.
yeah,
Don't
but I mean,
don't
like,
weaponize your ignorance and be willfully complicit.
I'm not trying. It's more
Oh,
of
I mean,
that.
I'm not talking to. I'll
I
rephrase.
mean,
When I say you, I'm talking about
the
all the
audience
fans.
or
Yeah, I'm talking about.
yeah, yeah,
I'm addressing the audience, not you directly. I don't want you to think it's a
yeah,
personal attack on you.
yeah. No, 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 I understand that. It's just that in my understanding of the situation, in my point of view, is that the cycle that you are saying instigated it and all that, right? Instigated the information that he gave one party and
Mm-hmm.
instigated that the also instigated the other side too by sending them videos and sharing them more.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so I would say that the cycle is the perp and the two sides that he Dave's up to is sort of victims in this
No. 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 No.
situation.
Both sides are not victims. The Ethan side, the one he sent threatening DM to, is the victim. The ones platforming him are accomplices. That's the word you're looking for. Not victim, accomplice. They're
Even if it
helping
was
him.
like a
They're
lot
helping
of
him.
manipulations.
Yes, they're helping him.
Okay,
They
I
agree with
guess.
him. Yes, they are helping him by platforming him. He did not have that many eyes on him. He's been doing this for a very long time, and none of you knew he existed until now. There's a
Yeah.
reason you didn't know he existed until now, because the biggest goddamn streamer in the world just platformed him and called him based empanada.
Hmm.
And then all of his orbiters took turns platforming him afterward. Yes, it is intentional. They know who he is, and you can't say it's manipulation either. They know he's a psychopath because before Hassan started calling him based empanada, he called him a psychopath and said, "I will never play his videos on my stream. This guy's crazy." So they know what and who he is. and they made the decision to platform him anyway. That's not
Okay.
manipulation. That's a conscious choice. They are accomplices. Full stop.
So what you're saying is that the fact that the information that Infonata gave them, right, false or not,
Definitely
wasn't
false.
yeah, was given to them and all that, and
Mm-hmm.
there was no way that the information that they gave him wasn't manipulated in the benefit of them believing his side more than the other
How
side.
how do you mean the information could be manipulated?
Like embellished, more
Oh, I mean it's
details.
it's definitely embellished. It's a made up story embellished to a comical degree. It should be obvious to anyone who listened to it that it's not real. What
Yes.
I'm saying that they knew it wasn't real and they platformed it anyway for content
Yeah.
because they make money on this. I don't
Um.
at all right, two situations happened here. Either they know it's fake, which is what I
Mhm.
believe. I believe they know it's fake and platformed it anyway for content and to be malicious. Maybe they didn't mean for it to get this out of hand, but they didn't stop it either.
Yeah.
Or the other one is they believed that insane story and still platformed it instead of going to the authorities with it and made it into content to escalate it and still make the situation worse. In
Yes. Yes.
either scenario, they did the wrong thing and made the wrong choice. In either scenario, their actions were intentional and it was to hurt Ethan.
Okay. So with that information, right? The video that before we get too far, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the video that iDubbbz um put in evidence or uploaded, right?
Yeah.
Um, if I am in the right state of mind and memory that I have, he did not ever mention CP, anyone calling or
In the content cop video, he did not ever. In fact, he went out of his way to not mention CPS to a malicious, uh, to a degree of maliciousness. He didn't mention it. He left that context out, which changes the framing of all the other things he was talking about. Have you
okay.
seen his
So
content deputy video?
um, I seen a little bit of it, but I came in
So the
here when I was
content
watching.
deputy video is almost exclusively about the CPS call because everybody
Mhm.
gave him so much shit for leaving it out. It was very obvious he intentionally left it out to be malicious. So now he makes a video addressing it and in doing so justifies it.
I
And
mean,
you have
yeah,
already agreed with me at the beginning of this call that no online action justifies involving his children.
yeah, yeah, that's perfectly fine. But um, what I know is that that I watched a little bit of and as far as I got there, what the proof and all that was what we talked about earlier. What was the word again? Um,
Circumstantial?
yeah,
Yeah.
that there was um that word about the information that E3 I mean H3
Well,
gave
I
out,
only
right?
to be clear, I only use that term because you framed it in a legal context. We're not in a legal context, though. We're in the court of public opinion. We're in perception context here.
Yeah,
I
to
don't
be
think
deceptive,
I don't think that
right?
there's any way you can perceive um, the totality of these actions as circumstantial. They are very intentional, and I think any normal person who would look at the totality of these actions would see the intent. That you
Yeah.
could go show
And
all of this information, everything we've covered, that you could go show all of that to random guy on the street number 582 who doesn't know who Hassan, who H3, who iDubbbz, who any of those people are, and you can introduce him to this world, and any normal person would look at this and not be on the side of iDubbbz, that they would definitely see them as the aggressors.
Okay. So what you're saying is because that the videos that he uploaded and all that, and be honest, the second video that
Here's
iDubbbz.
here's what I think's happening. Like, if you want to try to round this out, because I know we've been going for a long time here, and I do
Sorry.
appreciate, and I do appreciate. No, don't apologize. This is fine. I enjoy these long conversations. So I do appreciate you stopping in. If you want my breakdown of what I think has happened specifically with the people, the fans, the ones in my
Mhm.
comments, the ones on the side of iDubbbz, what I think has happened is that they all hate Ethan. They're all biased
Mhm.
against him and they don't like him. And I completely understand that. There are a lot of reasons not to like Ethan Klein. That
Yeah.
man is by no means perfect. He is a rich asshole. Right now, we're in the realm of watching 4 rich assholes fight with each other.
Yep.
This is just a bunch of rich assholes. He's also a rich asshole. All of them are rich
Mhm.
assholes. There's lots of reasons not to like Ethan. And I don't fault people for not liking him at all. What I think is happening is that some people in that community dislike him to an obsessive degree. And those
I
people are
just
that
you
H
just say the same.
and those people.
Um.
Hold on, let me finish, because there is something I
Sorry.
can say about them that you can't say about Ethan's fans. And those people
Okay.
are the H3 Snarkers.
Uh-huh.
So what you can't say about Ethan's community is that they have a dedicated subreddit to attacking another creator. The
Um.
H3
Yeah.
Snarkers do.
Yeah. That's
There
fair.
is
I
there
mean,
is no Hassan Snark subreddit. There's no Denim Snark. There's no Frogan Snark. There's no iDub
I mean,
Snark. They don't have that.
you
They don't do that.
you really don't need that when the
But as for the
where
average fan,
the yeah.
who doesn't dislike them to an obsessive degree, I think the average fan on their side who's doing the mental gymnastics needed to justify this obviously not okay stuff, like the attacks in real life. I think the people doing those kinds of mental gymnastics dislike him to a degree that has clouded their judgment. They're listening to the snarkers and they want to believe. I don't think they actually believe the thing the snarks are saying. I think they just want to. They just
Just to
need
make
the excuse to justify the actions. And the snarkers
for
provide them that.
information and to clarify, a snark is somebody that is intentionally putting himself out there to either make the situation worse, right? In a way.
Yes, they're propagandists. They are intentionally clipping things out of context, intentionally painting a narrative, intentionally demonizing and vilifying him in ways that are oftentimes not just malicious, but outright lies. The snarkers are also where the conspiracy theory that Ethan bought the skulls and sent them to himself came from. They are the ones who propagate stories like that. Yes.
Okay. So I just want to make one point, and then I think I have to go. But
Okay.
so with that scenario and all that,
And to be
what you
clear,
just said,
I
and
don't think you're one of the snarkers. I think you are
yeah,
one of the. I do think you are, like, we're going to talk about you personally. I do think you are one of the fans who dislikes Ethan enough that you
it's kind of
find,
clouds, and you think,
yeah,
yeah,
that your judgment is a little clouded. And when somebody gives you an excuse for these actions that sounds good enough, you run with it.
yeah,
You
that's fair.
you don't ask for proof. You don't ask for reality. You just take it at face value and you go with it. And I think that's what a lot of the fans do.
Yeah, that's fair. But everything that you just said and explained to me about a snark and all that and what it is,
Yeah.
in my personal opinion, what I have viewed personally watching him and all that over and over again, he is personally the snark community advocate for his community. That's where it began. That's where it
What?
goes and all that.
What?
It is
I'm
hmm?
I'm I'm sorry. He's the Snark community advocate?
Yes.
Like, he runs H3 Snark?
No, what I mean is that he is the one. He is like that. Is the thing I'm saying is
Okay,
that
okay.
for
What
for his
for
benefit.
Hassan?
yeah, for all of
Okay.
the people that he don't like and all that. He paints a picture and says things that are not true,
What
that
has
he
he
thinks that is
said?
right.
Okay. So, couple questions, then follow that up. One,
Mhm,
you say he's leading a community.
mhm.
What community? There are no Hassan Snark subreddits. There are no Denim Snark subreddits. Like there are no communities like that
But
for
there
all
are
of his
videos
fans.
of him
Well,
saying stuff like
yeah.
that, right?
But that's not the same. But that's not the same. That's not a community.
That's not?
A dedicated subreddit is a community. That's a place for all of these fans to gather, completely disconnected from the content create from Hassan, from Denims. Like Hassan's not going, like they don't post there. Denims doesn't post there. This is a place for them to gather and develop that mob mentality.
I think that's
There is no
implied in the same scenario of him live streaming and being able
no.
to have chat that could do the same thing.
Yeah. But chat ends when the stream ends.
Fair.
H3 Snark is always there.
Yeah.
It's a place that they can
So,
go to push whatever they want 24/7. There's not a place like that on the H3 side.
I
There's
mean,
not a dedicated community for them to hate on Hassan. That doesn't exist.
what I'm trying to
These two things are not equal. Like if you're talking
I
about the comment section of a video or the chat of a live stream, well, they have those too. Those aren't dedicated communities, though.
I mean
Those don't
in
have a dedicated team of people that you have to get verified from and sign up to and who moderate this stuff. I can go comment on an H3 video. You can go comment on an H3 video as someone who doesn't like him. I
yeah.
can't go comment in H3 Snark. My posts will get deleted. My account will get banned. They control that narrative there.
So
Ethan doesn't have a
does
place like that.
I think he does, to be fair.
Not
He
dedicated
can
to hating on Hassan, no. I
um
mean, he has
he's
his
not gonna
H3
get out of
subreddit
his
for
way.
I mean, he has his H3 subreddit for his community, but that's not there specifically to hate on Hassan. And last I checked, if you post hate stuff toward Hassan, those posts get deleted there.
Yeah. No, 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 I'm not trying to say that. What I'm trying to say is that um in, in my thought of the situation, if somebody decided to go into his live stream and say things about him, like, that he's a bad guy and all that, that H3 is not gonna say stop it, that's not true, and delete the message, would he?
It depends on what the message said. As far as I know, he doesn't delete messages that just say they don't like him. I mean, obviously, messages that would violate YouTube's terms of service and could get his channel in trouble, like containing slurs and hate speech and that kind of thing, sure, those are going to get banned. But he didn't ban the guy who told him to go to hell. I mean, he
Yeah,
showed
that's
his
fair.
Instagram profile of it, but he doesn't ban them. Like, he doesn't delete those messages, he addresses them directly. That's
Yeah,
different.
yeah. I mean, I could see that, yeah, in a way.
These
But
two
in
actions are not equal, is the point I was making, is that those two
Yeah.
actions are not equal. The,
So
the,
going
the
into a subreddit or a blog type of thing and posting whatever you want and all that isn't okay, but it is understandable and okay.
it isn't okay to run an entire community whose sole purpose is to attack an individual.
What about multiple individuals too?
I mean, it would depend on the context of the subreddit, like
If it
and the
is attacking the
number of
everybody,
and the number of individuals. Like if you're talking about a subreddit who's there to attack the Trump administration, for example, those do exist. But the Trump administration is a mass of people in a government body. That's different. If you're talking about I'm going to attack the Smith family specifically, no, that's not okay. So
okay.
context matters there.
Yeah, I'm more talking about like the scenario of everyone attacking everyone that H3 has either said that he doesn't agree, that he thinks that are either a pedophile, that is anti-Semitic, racist, um, condones it, and everything like that. That everything that he has been evident to say, and all that. That they're pieces of shit. That awful things should happen to them, and stuff like that. Saying awful and degradable things about them, and all that in a
You know,
public situation, live over
on his live stream. Yeah.
billions of people or
Well, I wouldn't
hundreds of
call.
people,
Well,
thousands, whatever you want to
thousands.
call.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah,
thousands and
yeah,
billions is a bit. There's a big gap between those two, brother.
and has not, of my knowledge, that I have seen, say when after he says all that stuff and all that he doesn't and he thinks and all that. Do not message these people at all. Do not start
He
to
has said
harass them
that.
or obsess.
He has said that.
Okay, then
So that has
okay,
happened, and those are also in my
okay,
videos. You should definitely go watch. He does tell you not to do that.
yeah.
But
I
his
didn't
shit
know that, but
talking
yeah,
is him shit talking. He's not encouraging his audience to join in. That's the difference.
yeah,
This is a him problem. This is my problem. I'll deal with it. Tends to be his attitude towards it, whereas the attitude on the other side seems to be rally the troops.
yeah. I mean, there is a hashtag going around on Twitch. I mean Twitter
Yeah, well, I
or
mean,
X right now. So yeah,
obviously H3 doesn't control Twitter hashtags. I also wouldn't hold Hassan or his people accountable for a hashtag on Twitter. Anybody can make a hashtag on Twitter. Doesn't mean anything.
no, no. It's they're just I'm talking about that it's more presented that it's to disagree and rally up the troops for disliking H3 to be
Oh
as
yeah,
that.
yeah. Oh yeah. I don't doubt that's happening.
Yeah.
And that's my point. You're just highlighting the difference between the two. Is that side is fine with rallying the troops and weaponizing that for content and for money, because then at the end of the day, I think that's what this is really about for that side. Is that
Is money.
this is good content. This is good viewership for them, and that equals money.
Yeah.
It's about the content. To whereas with
Yeah.
Ethan, it's not about the content. It stopped being about the content the minute it showed up on his doorstep, the minute it threatened to take his kids away. So, not the same. It's a false equivalency there. And the people who try to make that equivalency, those are the ones who are blinded by their dislike of Ethan. And just, they're not looking for answers, they're looking for excuses. They're looking for
Yeah.
more reasons to hate. They're looking
I
for
mean,
justifications for bad actions.
that's fair. I personally um do not exactly like agree or I mean me and HHA has more in common like physically and mentally type of things and all that. Not like personality wise, right? So in personalized
I think
way
most of it,
of
I think a lot of it too, not with you specifically because we've already touched on this and you said it. I think for a lot of those fans, because I don't understand why a lot of them don't like Ethan.
yeah,
And I think I can point out the one reason why, and I think it's stupid. But I, I think that a lot of them would like him if not for his politics. I think this is, for a lot of people, politically driven.
I think that
Hassan,
it's that
it
too,
and
but also
it is
because he's
definitely that with Hassan himself, and then all the troops rallied behind Hassan for the same reason. I feel like a lot of them rallied behind, not all of them, but a lot of them rallied behind Hassan for that same reason, because they did do a podcast together. They were friendly,
yeah,
and there was a lot of crossover with their audience. That audience didn't turn on Ethan until they had a political disagreement. So my
that's right.
question then becomes this: if he's such a bad guy and he's so unlikable, why did you like him before he talked about politics? Why did you like him before?
Because there was a benefit to
No,
at
for
the
the
time
fans,
for
for the
them.
fans. Why did the
Oh,
fans like him before? I'm talking to the fans. All of the H3 Snarkers, all of those people who were on his side when he was doing leftovers with Hassan, because him and Hassan were together and they were, they were friends. So there was a lot of overlap with their audience. I'm talking to the audience now. If the audience expects me to believe that he's such an evil guy and he's so unlikable, then why did that same audience like him until he disagreed with Hassan politically?
I mean, to be honest, it's not really a right thing, but I can explain why, but it's not like uh a good
The
reason.
answer is simple. I mean, I also think it's not a good reason, but the answer is simple. This is over politics.
Yeah.
For a lot of them, this is about politics. And I
I
think it is
truthfully think that
disgusting
it's more,
when people use politics to justify arguably terroristic actions like sending human skulls to people's houses.
yeah. I honestly think that it's more could be that also, but is more likely because the audience just liked who they were watching at the time and decided that they would just tolerate and learn to get used to H3 because they liked talking the debate
So you're
the part
saying, so you're saying that they were Hassan fans that Hassan brought with him to the H3
yeah,
crowd, and that they never
yeah,
liked H3. They just put up with him because Hassan was there. Okay, sure.
mostly, yeah,
There was probably some of that. It's probably a mix of both, if I'm being
yeah.
honest. It's probably a
And
mix of both, and then there's probably another group there who's always hated Ethan and they're hate watching him.
mhm,
It's probably a mix of the three. You're right. There's
yeah,
probably
yeah.
some of that.
And then to be honest with me and all that, the reason that I kind of don't like him that much and all that is because I'm jealous that he's actually um have so
Successful.
much and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, with all the
Well,
problems that he has had.
that brings me to my last and final point, which is I think a lot of it
Yeah.
is probably that too. I think that's probably like the driving. I think that a lot of those fans are jealous, but they're also the other thing too. So there's probably some overlap with those other reasons we just mentioned. But I think a lot of people are just jealous, and I think that's a young person problem
Mhm.
because I used to be like that when I was younger.
Mhm.
You see someone successful, and then someone said something to me that made me change the way that I view things, specifically when it came to jealousy. And it
Mhm.
happens all the time when you're younger. You look at some guy, be it Ethan or some guy out on the street that that has more than you, and
Yeah.
you don't understand how he got it. The best example I can give is the one that happened to me in real life, and that changed my perspective of things. So we were out and about, and I saw this dude. I remember we were at an amusement park with my friends. It was high school. We're at an amusement park, and I saw this dude. And he looked like he hadn't bathed in about 3 days. There was nothing attractive about this guy at all. He was lanky,
Mhm.
posture was bad. He looked like a loser. He looked like, had I not seen him there with people, I might think he was homeless. But on his arm was quite possibly one of the hottest girls I'd ever seen at the time. This guy had fucking bagged a hottie.
Mhm.
And she didn't just look hot. She was throwing money around. Like, we followed them around for a little while. I'll admit it. Me and my friends just jealous of the guy. Just following him around as this this chick that's hot, paid for
Mhm.
everything. And then they met up with her family, and it was obvious it was her family. And they obviously came from money. So he didn't just bag a hot girl. She was rich. How the fuck did he pull this off? And we started getting angry. We started getting jealous. And then my friend's dad looked at us. We were there with him, with his family, and he looks at us and he goes, "Hey, why don't you go ask him? Why don't you go ask him how he did it? Instead of getting mad
Yeah.
at the guy and hating him, why don't you go find out what his secret is?"
That's fair. Yeah.
So that's what I did. I went over there. I started talking to the guy, trying to find out what his secret was. Talk to the guy, talk to the girl. Turns out my entire perception of him was wrong.
Yeah.
And we're friends to this day.
That's cool.
Now, he's not still with that girl anymore, but I'm still friends with him.
Yeah.
There was a person behind all that stuff I judged.
Yeah.
So you're looking at Ethan, and I get it. You don't think he's funny. He seems like a bit of a loser. Guy's got Tourette's. He could be a bit manic at times. How the fuck does that become a millionaire? And it doesn't feel fair. I get it. It doesn't feel fair. You work hard. You're a normal guy. You're a good person. When's your turn, right?
Yeah.
But you can't view the world like that, man. There's going to be a lot.
Just because.
There's going to be a lot.
To add to your point.
Yeah.
That you can't let just your jealousy like change the facts of the situation of if the person is right or wrong.
Jealousy is the only emotion humans experience that serves no positive purpose.
Yeah.
There's never a positive outcome from jealousy, ever.
Yeah.
It's the only emotion we have that's like that. Fear can save your life. You know, love can make you happy, etc. But jealousy only leads to bad outcomes. Always.
I mean, you can think like that. I mean, to me, honestly.
And I know emotions aren't a thing you choose to feel. What I'm trying to get you to do is change the actions you choose that follow the emotion. You can't help that you're jealous. That's still going to happen. You're still going to get jealous of some things. And some things are going to feel unfair.
Learn from the jealousy.
Some things are going to feel unfair. They're going to make you feel jealous. We see it all the time. There's a lot of guys right now that you can look at online, other than Ethan, that don't look like they deserve 99% of the shit they got.
Mm-hmm.
How the fuck did that happen to them? They got lucky. When's my turn? When do I get to win the lottery? Hell, you can look at actual lottery winners and say, well, God, wish I'd win the lottery.
Yeah.
But it's only going to lead to bad outcomes. It can lead to obsession. Mm-hmm. It can lead to bad things. Honestly, if you push the jealousy aside or use it as something inquisitive like I did, where you just go ask, go try, view it, instead of getting jealous of it, view it like a puzzle that needs to be solved. Here is a thing I can't answer, and I wish I could. It's not fair. How come that doesn't happen to me? Okay, well, that's a puzzle. All right, so let's solve that question. Let's figure that out. Instead of just seething on it.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
Now, I'm not trying to make you into an H3 fan here. I'm just trying to prevent you.
I wouldn't say I'm not one. I wouldn't say that I hate her either.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not that's all I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to prevent the hate. I'm not trying to make anyone an H3 fan. There's a lot of reasons not to be a fan of him. But if you're not a fan of him, then just don't be a fan of him.
Yeah.
Don't hate watch. Don't become jealous. Don't try to figure him out by hate watching him and joining the other communities that just try to figure it out by doing weird conspiracy theories, like he sent skulls to himself. Blah, blah. Yeah, no, because that's what H3 Snark looks like. I don't know if you've ever been to that subreddit, but that's what it looks like. A bunch of people trying to figure out this dude instead of just going in his chat and asking him.
Yeah.
And then they become obsessed.
Yeah.
Like,
to be honest,
either go to his chat, interact with his community, and try to figure it out if you're honestly that curious, or if you don't care and you don't like him, then just move on. Don't hang around and hate.
That's fair. That's what I did.
It's simple.
I personally don't usually do anything like this or comment or anything like that on videos. I just lurk and watch usually.
Yeah, like I'm not, and that's also fine to do. I'm more addressing the audience of the people who go beyond. Like, I'm not a Hassan fan. I don't watch his content. I don't hate watch it. I don't watch it for fun. I don't engage. I'm not going to communities all day spending time trying to figure him out. I don't think he deserves half the stuff he's got either. That's life, man. Sometimes people get shit they don't deserve. Whatever, you move on.
Yep.
So that's how I treat that. And yeah, I dip my toe in the drama because, this is the
It's
closest
a
thing
little entertaining.
yeah, I'm a sucker for reality television, and this is the modern day version of that. Yeah, it's fun for me. But
Yeah.
I have a strict, like, don't touch the poo rule. Like, I'll
Yeah.
look at it and I'll observe, but I'm not getting involved.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go talk to H3. I'm not going to try to get on his podcast. I'm not going to go talk to Hassan either. Like, I'm just here to observe, man. I'm just here to observe, analyze, and give my take, and then I move on to the next drama, and I observe that, and I analyze it, and I give my take, and it's fun to gossip, and then I move on to the next thing, That's what my channel is. You go through my channel, it's not all H3 shit. I've covered Destiny stuff. I covered, the Dr. Disrespect and the drama with Nick Merckx. More recently, I covered Carl Jobs and his lawsuit with Billy Mitchell. Like, yeah, there's a lot of these. I did Pirate Software last night. Like it's a lot of these characters I'm familiar with because they're internet personalities, and it's fun to keep up with them. But then that's it. Then I move on to the next thing.
Yeah. I just usually just watch and assume most of the time, but this felt like I should investigate more and learn
Yeah,
more than just
yeah,
assume.
yeah. Sometimes it's fun to do a deep dive. So
Yeah.
deep dive deep with my content. Have a look at it. You're welcome to stay in the Discord. I don't kick people out, short of screaming a bunch of stuff that could get my Discord banned, like racial slurs and shit
Yeah.
like that,
Yeah.
or showing
Yeah.
your penis or some shit.
Oh.
Yeah, you start doing weird stuff like that, you're gonna get banned quick. But hey, if you just want to hang out, I got a bunch of rooms in here for different stuff. There's a lot of video game focused stuff in my stream because
Okay.
obviously I play video games a lot, and I'm an avid gamer, but I usually do that while I'm covering the drama content. So you'll see some cool or shitty gameplay footage in the background of a lot of my videos. It's typically how the streams go here. I play video games and I talk about shit. That's it, man. I'm just a guy with a hobby hanging out.
Yep.
But I'm glad you
Same.
stopped by. Glad you found my channel, and I hope to see you again. Gave you a lot to think about, a lot of stuff to watch, and I'm curious to see what you report back.
Okay.
Anyway, I'll
Talk to you
finish
later.
the.
And have
If
a
you want
good
to,
day.
if you don't get through all of it today, you want to pop in tomorrow. I'm going to finish the second half. I'm not going to finish this content cop video today. I'll finish the second half of it tomorrow, and then just edit them into
Okay.
one VOD. But yeah, just like, subscribe, keep your eye on the Discord. I post notifications for when stuff goes live, and I'll see you around, man. Thanks for popping in.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
Later. All right. Well, props to him for being the only Hassan/iDubbbz fan who came in and disagreed with me that actually had the balls to pop in the Discord and talk. So that went a lot better than I thought it did. I think we covered some ground there. I think we made some progress. And hey, if you're an H3 fan or an iDubbbz fan, let me know which side you're on, and if any of this changed your opinion about either one. Our little debate there, our little peek into the mind of an iDubbbz fan. For now, though, this stream is going on way longer than I intended it to, and I got a lot to edit here. So for now, I'm going to call it quits and go spend a day with my family and do some video editing. So keep your eye on the YouTube channel for more of those videos. If you're new here, be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching this video, and I go live every night at 11, so hopefully I'll see you guys there. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time.